Of the European Union's 27 countries rejecting the results of this month's presidential election in Belarus. Tens of thousands of people have protested in the days following the vote, alleging it was rigged. It's an unprecedented challenge to authoritarian leader Alexander Lukashenko. The EU saying it's preparing a long list of sanctions, but stopping short of endorsing the Belarusian opposition. Russia is warning Western countries against meddling. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
The Trump administration has suspended or terminated 3 bilateral agreements with Hong Kong covering extradition and tax exemptions. The State Department says it's taken the steps as part of the administration's response to China's imposition of strict national security laws over Hong Kong, which began earlier this year. A major financial group ordering its employees to stay off trains and buses.
Investment firm Carlyle Group is telling its employees when its offices reopen, if they get on public transit, they'll need to work from home for 14 days. Workers have been told to avoid public transit on their commute and over the weekend. The financial firm says the policy is designed to protect the health and well-being of every colleague. Its staff is expected to walk, bike, or drive to its 31 offices around the world, including New York City and Washington, D.C. Carlyle Group has said returning to offices is entirely voluntary. Janico Sola, Fox News.
Apple, the first U.S. company to reach a market value of $2 trillion, just 2 years after it became the first to reach $1 trillion. The company says people continued to buy iPhones and other devices online while they were stuck at home during lockdowns, reporting huge earnings for the April through June quarter. I'm Lisa Lacera, and this is Fox News.
After notifying students that there will be no awesome events happening on campus this weekend, Hamilton College Activity Board Coordinator Jessica Wilson from the class of 2015 spoke to Onion reporters about the disappointingly empty days ahead.
On behalf of the entire Campus Activities Board, I would like to truly apologize for failing to live up to the standards expected of us from everyone on campus. And the fact is, we let the school down.
Wilson said that while the board is usually proficient at booking plenty of cool events for all students to participate in, the upcoming weekend will have no interesting lectures, no wrestling match against Amherst, no acoustic coffee house, and no outdoor movie screening of Silver Linings Playbook.
We tried our best to organize a foam party in Dunham Quad for Friday night, but all the foam machines were rented, and we failed. This falls on us. We realize we don't deserve your trust yet, nor do we expect it, but we'll do everything we can to restore your confidence in us, starting with a comedy hypnotist show on Thursday at Minor Theater. Tickets are $5.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free here. You can bring up anything that you want. The number's 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm, so feel free to jump into one of those, and you'll sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us tonight. You've got Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
And, of course, you can bring up absolutely anything that happens to be on your mind. On the way here tonight, Aria, you've got a story that just makes you so happy.
It does,
bursting
man.
with joy. Maybe we'll get a chance to share that. Then also, Mark, you're going to start us out with an update on American obesity. Apparently, during the Barack Obama administration, I guess his wife decided to go to, war against obesity or something like that?
Well, I'm not sure they use the terminology war, but yeah. So from the AmericanConservative.com, Jim Bovard writing, and for those that are familiar,
he's a pretty libertarian guy, right?
Yeah. He's been writing for like the Freeman and so many libertarian stuff for a long time, libertarian magazines for such a long time that his name's quite well known. Former First Lady Michelle Obama is the keynote speaker this evening for the first night of the Democratic Convention. This was written just a couple of nights ago. The New York Times has hailed her as one of the creative geniuses who defined culture in 2016. And the
how did they come to that conclusion? I mean, is she an actress? Is she a musician? Is she a
defined
painter?
Culture.
I don't think she had any influence on culture.
Well, the media would like you to believe it, so it might as well be true.
And the Associated Press,
they put her all over the place, right? The media pays a lot of attention to usually whatever any of these first ladies do. And
maybe, but with Trump's wife, all they do is pay attention to what she wears.
Well, they did that with all the other first ladies too.
Did they?
I feel like she could embark on some project.
She did. Online bullying is her project.
That's right. Yeah, she mentioned something about that. Yeah, they've reported
which
on it.
Trump is, notoriously guilty of. So what are you going to do?
Yep. The Associated Press christened her as a luminary with international influence in the same year. But don't expect the media to tell you that today. Ms. Obama's biggest initiative as First Lady has proven a disastrous failure. In 2010, Ms. Obama, he uses the term Ms. here, launched her...
Why?
It's easier than trying to figure out what people's favorite, what do they call that, prefixes?
Yeah, you can use Ms. in both. It could be a married woman, maybe not, right? Like, whereas Mrs. is always a married woman and Miss is always not a married woman.
Right. That's the idea.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
Well,
English is stupid. Yeah, English is stupid, though.
Well, it's just one of those things. It campaigned for solving the problem of childhood obesity in a generation. She claimed a goal of reducing the percentage of overweight and obese children by 2.5% by 2015. That's 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem to be an unreasonable goal.
It doesn't seem like an unreasonable goal. Shoot for the stars. Maybe you'll get over the fence kind of thing, I guess.
I mean, she's not trying to eradicate it in 5 years. She just wants a 2.5% reduction.
Is
that in the number of people who are considered obese?
Yes, number of kids.
Gotcha.
So screw all you fat adults. It's the kids we care about, which seems like a fine
makes sense. I mean,
well, if they stop being fat kids, then presumably they won't be fat adults.
Yeah,
better chance.
Yeah.
Or if you can teach them, good eating habits early, maybe they'll retain them through their life.
That was the idea. She was speedily awarded sainthood for her lofty aspirations. Now, I don't consider 2.5% in 5 years to be lofty aspiration, but fine.
Is that true, or is that just the author here being a bit facetious?
No, absolutely. She was given accolades for this particular project. I mean,
she was not given sainthood.
Okay, you're right.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to find out.
It depends on what you're talking about. Are you talking about the Church of the State? Because absolutely.
Okay.
She was speedily awarded sainthood for her lofty aspirations, is what it says. But despite glowing press coverage for the Let's Move campaign, even more children are supersizing nowadays. The percentage of overweight youth rose from 14.9% in 2009-2010 school season to 16.6%. That is a gain of almost 2% in 2015-2016. While the percentage of obese youth rose from 16.9 to 18.5, according to the Centers for Disease Control.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Over what time frame? It was a 5 year?
The 5 year
window
stretch, yeah.
From when to when?
So rather than decreasing it by 2.5%, there was almost a 2.5% increase?
Yeah, it wasn't quite that, but it was more like 1.7%, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
epic failure, basically.
Yeah, it went the other direction.
I mean, you know what they say. If you want more drugs, then you have the government declare a war on drugs. If you want more terrorism, they declare war on terrorism. If you want more obesity, they declare war on obesity.
And sorry, what were the 5 years?
It was basically from 2010 to 2015.
Okay, gotcha.
The most visible legacy of Let's Move is a vast increase in the number of children consuming government-subsidized meals. Ms. Obama helped push the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act through Congress in 2010. That bill made some revisions to nutritional standards for school meals that were intensely unpopular with students, such as smaller lunch sizes and blander food. I remember that because people hated it. From reforms were
so the strategy: make kids hate food, so therefore they don't want to eat it.
Well,
it seems to not have worked.
If you try to force somebody onto a diet, they're going to cheat.
Yeah,
and they have more time at home than they have at school, so they get plenty of time to cheat. Let's see. Some reforms were necessary because USDA, school feeding programs have been a perpetual dietary disaster. A 2010 University of Michigan study found that low-income kids who did not eat subsidized school meals were much less likely to become fat.
Low-income kids who didn't eat
That's
the
correct.
Subsidized school.
Right. So if you don't take the carb rich, subsidized meals from school, then you will be thinner.
Now, is that because they're like eating ramen noodles for dinner every night?
Well,
so they're not getting any real food, so they don't have the opportunity to put on weight?
I have an extraordinarily unpopular opinion.
Okay. Of course you do.
That hunger doesn't really exist in America.
Okay.
I just don't believe in it. Best I can tell, like I went to government school and I just don't believe it. I don't believe there's people out there eating ketchup soup for dinner every night. I mean,
it's not North Korea, where last night we were reporting that they are apparently demanding people turn their dogs into the government so they can be slaughtered and used for food.
Right. I think that basically if you want food in America, you can probably get it. And
at least here in Keene, all you got to do is go down to the community kitchen. They'll give you a whole box of it.
Yep. Let's see. Unfortunately, the Healthy Hunger-Freed Kids Act pretended that all the dietary perils vanished when Obama signed the law. Any school with 40% of low-income students can now provide federally subsidized free breakfast and lunch to all students, even though most children's families would not qualify for aid. Breakfast enrollment surged by more than 30% after 2010, feeding almost 15 million kids each morning prior to the COVID school shutdowns. Ms. Obama declared in 2010 that because children's nutrition is so important, we can't just leave it up to the parents.
Government knows best.
That's the attitude.
Did she really say that?
It's in quotations.
Okay.
I mean,
everyone knows.
I suppose
we could
besmirch Jim Bovard's good name here, but it says we can't just leave it up to
Okay. He also said that she was, fast-tracked to sainthood. So,
that wasn't
he does have some
marks.
tendency for hyperbole, so I was just asking.
Yep. But schools have a worse record of providing healthy fare than do most parents. That's because schools offer breakfasts, yep, with carb loading more appropriate for marathon runners than for school children.
Wow.
Homer Simpson is the patron saint of school breakfast programs. Donuts and other high-sugar pastries have a starring role in morning.
Here's an idea. Shut down the breakfast program.
Shut down the schools.
Well, yeah. 855, 450, free like freedom. You can join us here. Bring up what you want. More about the failure here, apparently, of the obesity reduction project that Michelle Obama was.
You want a failure, put the government in charge.
Yeah, exactly. And you can bring up whatever's on your mind. Take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with Anypay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the Anypay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Live video of our key New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the obesity epidemic that Americans have been facing for, I don't know, my lifetime at least. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of weight on them, and Michelle Obama apparently started up a program to try to get at least the kids to lose a little bit of weight. But Mark, you're sharing a story that apparently didn't work. In fact, the weight of America's young people went in the opposite direction, meaning heavier rather than lighter over the 5-year time frame in which the government decided they were going to solve this problem or in some way reduce it, when in fact they just made it worse. Now, whether the government actively made it worse or it just happened to get worse is a whole other question. But
no, it appears as though they took some steps to actively make it worse.
And we'll talk a little bit more.
That sounds like the government.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that. Of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. And also, I want you to know about Divvy, which is a newer, easy-to-use cryptocurrency we've been promoting here on Free Talk Live. This year, between mid-March and mid-July, Divvy increased in value over 10 times. Now, nothing is stopping Divvy from going up further. That's certainly what their intention is. Of course, anything can happen, but it just so happens that when they released their beta wallet into a private beta, that about correlated with the 10x jump. So will it go up further when their wallet is fully available to everybody? Well, I don't know. But we look forward to the future because so far it's been pretty good being on board with Divvy. And you can learn more about it at divvyproject.org. Start up your own masternode with them or stake some Divvy. They've even got a lottery for people who stake their coin. Divvyproject.org is where you can go to learn more. DIVIproject.org. All right, so Mark, you said that Michelle Obama announced a program at the early part of the decade for about 5 years, so from 2010 to 2015, with the goal of reducing childhood obesity by 2.5 points, roughly?
Well, yeah, that was sort of a first break point goal. There were other goals after that,
but they never even got there.
You have to hit the first goal in order to hit the other goals, and
instead it went up by two percentage points or whatever.
1.7, yeah,
1.7. Okay.
So, and part of the program was to make sure that they want kids to be healthy and they want them to not be obese. Now, frankly, this is a problem. When you sort of sign up with the USDA, you're signing up with an organization that subsidizes food producers. Food producers.
Primarily corn.
Corn's a big one. Soy, another one. There's milk. huge one. And frankly, all forms of meat are basically subsidized in some form or another.
But more to the point about corn, I mean, there's almost nothing that you can buy at the supermarket that isn't loaded with some type of corn.
Yeah, corn's very common.
Yeah.
Yep. And don't forget, it's also used as a feed crop.
And it's a sugar. And sugar causes obesity. This is not a hard problem to solve. Just cut back on the stupid corn subsidies.
Well, it is hard, right? It's hard to solve when you when the whole point is to subsidize food producers, propagate the teachers union, and actually, feed people. Everybody thinks that feeding is healthy, right? Well, give them more food. That'll make them healthier. But in America, that's not the problem. The problem is too much food. Mm-hmm. And really,
we throw away a ton of food here in the United States.
40% of food is thrown away.
40%?
Yeah.
I think the issue is that it's overly processed, unhealthy food.
Well, sure. You know those gas station donuts that sit there? I mean, they expect to throw away half of them.
Mm-hmm. They should throw away them all because they're freaking disgusting.
Well,
you eat at McDonald's. What can you say?
Not much. Donuts and other high sugar pastries have a starring role in the morning menus across the nation. USDA bans schools from serving whole milk, but approves providing chocolate skim milk, even though each half pint contains almost half the daily added sugar that the American Heart Association recommends for kids.
Yeah, man, I remember having chocolate milk at government school. It was there every single day for you.
It's delicious. Yeah, right?
I don't know if I would say delicious.
Oh, I loved it when I was a kid, but
it was the best of the available options.
The Center for Investigative Reporting warned that sugar levels in school meals are more than double what is recommended for the general public.
Woo! We might be coming onto the problem here.
Yeah, well, coming onto the problem is that this was either poorly thought out or...
But, Mark, it's the government. They think everything through.
A thinly veiled attempt to increase subsidies, increase the profit margins for food producers. I don't know.
Was that a successful result of this entire thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, they just increased school meals, morning breakfasts by 30%.
Right.
So that's more food being consumed. It's being bought. It's coming through this program. We're keeping kids healthy, but they're fatter now. And that's the opposite of what the program wanted.
Did they not implement any sort of exercise programs?
That usually helps, right?
It's called the Let's Move program.
Yes, but all it did was shove food in front of people's faces.
Well, it probably should have been shoving better food rather than worse food. But yeah.
I mean, maybe 2 or 3 gym classes a day as opposed to 1 a week or whatever.
Make them run around the block before they get the meal.
Right. I mean, if everybody was required to eat, some scrambled eggs and a cup of carrots.
I don't want to require anything of them, really, but if you're going to encourage kids to do something...
Well, if the idea is they're starving to death, you don't give them donuts, okay? They need real nutrition. And they're getting crapola.
But didn't we agree that they're not starving to death?
I agree.
Okay.
But that's the premise.
Yeah,
the premise is that you're going to school to get a free meal because you can't afford food at home.
Right.
Not because they need more cigarettes and liquor at home. Like, that's not the premise here.
Which may be the reason why some diets suffer, because parents put their priorities on things like cigarettes and
parents,
alcohol.
In this case, are allowed to put their priorities on other things. If you say, hey, let me cover your kid's meal.
Right, that's another 24-pack right there.
And I think that just about anybody will do that. We don't live in a country anymore where people say, I don't take charity. The opposite is true.
Yeah.
Because people have to have dignity when it comes to taking government money. What? We were better off when people considered charity to be an abhorrent idea. Now, not to say that there aren't people out there that need charity. I think they absolutely do. But the fact that we no longer look at it that way, I think, is one of the fundamental problems.
I mean, people should be willing to accept charity, but they shouldn't want to accept charity.
Right. I mean, and money being fungible. Obviously, when you give money for breakfast for anybody, it doesn't matter whether whatever it is, whatever the quintile of the parents is as far as earning goes. You say, we're going to cover your breakfast. Okay. Well, we'll just spend that money on something else.
Sure.
They'll get a bigger car payment or whatever.
Yep.
A 2014.
Well, I don't know about kids today, but when I was in school, a breakfast at school cost like 80 cents at full price.
I don't know now either, but I know lunch was $1.25 when I was at school.
Wow.
$1.20 when you were in school?
Yes.
Breakfast was?
No, lunch was. I don't know if
that's amazing. I don't remember. I have no memory whatsoever of what the prices of those things would have been.
It was $1 when I was in school for lunch, and that was.
Are you sure that's not subsidized?
No, it was 40 cents for being subsidized.
Huh.
I don't know what to tell you. I know what mine was.
So if you want to comment here as somebody, maybe you're a parent, and you've seen this program fail in some way, or you have any sort of comment. I don't know if it really is obvious to the person on the other end that this is even going on or whatever. These are just like federal commandments coming down from on high. But if you want to somehow weigh in on this, you're welcome to. 855-450 free. It's 855-450-3733. Plus, obesity's up during coronavirus as well because of the lockdown. More coming up.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with Anypay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the Anypay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with Anypay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the Anypay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
Who told you can go this way? You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. You dial in, toll free here, 855-450, free like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. In the studio here with you tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
So we're talking about these school lunches and some government program, I guess, that Michelle Obama put together in the early part of this decade, or the last decade, 2010 to 2015, where she wanted to reduce childhood obesity by 2.5% over the 5-year time frame, but instead it went up by 1.7%. And so, yeah, they failed at that, and you're kind of giving us some of those details, Mark. But also, I want to make sure that you know about our website where you can go and get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners. We have our, as I mentioned, our Discord server. There's a bunch of people that hang out in there. They talk about a variety of different topics, and it's there 24/7. So get on over to discord.lrn.fm.
They are active, that's for sure.
Yep, and during our live shows, we also have chats that are less active in Twitch and DLive, but tonight there have been some people chatting in, especially in the DLive channel at dlive.lrn.fm, where Libertarian Sammy writes, "Why would I buy a $2 school lunch that is repulsive food when I can get a dinner plate-sized chocolate chip cookie for $1 and a soda for another $1?" So, yeah, why buy the so-called healthy food when you can get a huge cookie instead?
I can't speak to this. Is he speaking of like vending machines in the school or something?
Sammy, I believe, is female, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, she is.
Fine.
And she helped me with Ladies Night Out.
Okay,
I mean, she was one of the main organizers. So.
Oh, now that we've nailed down,
I think she's speaking as
Sammy's gender.
As a child. You know, what would the child want to do? The child would likely want to get a plate-sized cookie.
Where would one get a plate-sized cookie for $1 in school?
Maybe I don't know. I know
it sounds like a market opportunity for kids who know how to bake.
They sold cookies at my school. I remember that. You could buy a cookie there.
Okay,
I don't know if it was plate size, but
at my school, the only things you could buy were school lunches, and you could buy like the candy that they sold for fundraising for 40 cents. You could get like M&Ms or whatever the thing was, Milky Ways or whatever that they would sell for whatever the fundraising club was that was allowed to sell that particular week, and you were sort of
So you could get 3 bags of M&Ms effectively for the price of one school lunch.
Correct.
By the time,
so how many kids chose 3 bags of M&Ms over the school lunch?
I never considered the notion, so I didn't do any kind of. I have no answer for it.
Okay.
They had vending machines at the school that I went to.
They had soda vending machines during summer school when I went, but
they had
when I went to
all
school was at least intelligent enough and wholesome enough not to have freaking vending machines in for kids.
They had snack and soda vending machines.
We didn't have vending machines, but we had like concession stands.
Okay,
but they were only open during certain periods.
I see.
Yeah, concession stands would have only been open during football games.
Yeah, these were open all day long. You want to start your morning off with a Pepsi or a Mountain Dew? Just head on over to the vending machine.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way it should be, right?
No.
Well,
what do you mean? No.
It depends. What do the parents want? I mean, these are government schools, so
if the parents don't want it, then they shouldn't put their kids in a government school. Once they
really
do that,
shouldn't.
they sort of give up their ability to make
Sure
determinations
do.
about it.
And that's the point that I'm trying to make with this is that, ladies and gentlemen, we are all just matter of course making the decision to send our kids to these schools, and when the First Lady of the United States says we're going to cut childhood obesity, her mouth says one thing and her actions say another. I'm not saying that Michelle Obama is a filthy-mouthed liar, because I don't know that to be true. She could have just come up with the most incompetent plan to have kids lose weight.
See, I would call her a liar over incompetent. I mean, you're sort of insulting her either way. But she's a politician.
Well,
so
she
I
isn't
think
a politician, though.
Well, she's the wife of a politician.
Isn't she an attorney?
I think she was an attorney.
It wouldn't surprise me if
then
she
she's
was.
a liar.
Yeah, liar. That's what we call them down south.
Yeah.
Liars. But yeah, that's all I'm saying is that she said she wanted to eliminate childhood obesity, and then she increased the carbohydrate load of children across America as if we didn't know what was going to happen. So going on.
I hate it when you say load, Mark. I don't know why. There's just something about how you say it that's just unpleasant.
Load. A 2014 analysis by the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, I didn't even know there was such a thing, noted that the USDA's new requirements do not limit the amount of added sugar in school meals. I'm going to say it again. The USDA's new requirements do not limit the amount of added sugar in school meals. And
so just dump it in, no problem.
May be perpetuating eating habits linked to obesity, diabetes, and other diet-related diseases. I mean,
Did you like the food when you were in school?
Yeah, some of it.
Did you?
Some of it was fine.
Okay.
I usually wouldn't eat that rectangular pizza.
I had no problem with it.
Yeah, the pizza was terrible.
You would eat it. You liked jail food. So asking Ian anything about food is doesn't
I think
make
our jail food was actually better than the school food.
Well, there you go.
So I liked a lot of the food when I was in school.
Yeah.
Well, it's made to get kids to eat it.
But I don't know what the conditions are of school food now.
By the time I was in high school, at the school that I went to, they were actually selling pizza. Like Pizza Hut pizza was being sold at the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have that every day, but there's some kids that are hard to get to eat.
You could actually have it every day.
I understand
If you could pay for it every day, you could have it every single day.
To massively expand the program, the Obama administration rewarded schools that encourage all children to eat free breakfasts in the classroom, a policy championed by Ms. Obama. But breakfasts in the classroom programs may contribute to excess calorie intake, according to a 2013 American Journal of Public Health analysis.
Yeah.
A 2015 National
If you
Bureau...
wouldn't otherwise eat breakfast, and now you're eating breakfast, well, you've just added some calories,
Or
right?
maybe you're eating second breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
A 2015 National Bureau of Economic Research report found that providing breakfast in the classroom more than doubled the likelihood of eating 2 breakfasts.
Mm-hmm.
That report also found no improvement in daily nutrient intake from expanded school breakfast programs. That means...
It's all junk.
That it's junk. It's carbohydrate crap. So, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
School officials in some areas scorned parents who protested schools feeding their kid a second breakfast and deluging them with sugary fare.
This is the problem with parents, is they just complain. They're going to protest about it, but they're not going to do anything like get their kids out of the government school.
I think the biggest problem is that they're forced to pay for the school.
That is a problem.
And they don't want to pay
doubt.
for school twice.
Can't blame them for that.
Yeah, I mean, and that...
But the fact is, by the time you're done with your protest or whatever, it's never going to change anything, and your kids are going to be out of school before anything ever does change.
But you're never going to change anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If it changes, it'll
never
take
going to change anything. But parents who have kids, I don't know what the numbers are of people that have kids. I don't want to know what families that don't have kids. I don't want to include their numbers. I just want to know about people who have kids. I'll bet you that they're more likely to have more than one kid. So when you're talking about private school, a cheap private school at $10,000 a year, you're now talking about $20,000 a year. Many private schools give a discount for more than one kid, but fine, $17,500, and for 3 of them it's $25,000. I don't know what it is, but those are big numbers. That's a new car every year.
Yeah, but you don't have to send your kids there. I mean, there's some private schools that'll do it for less, and you can also do unschooling or homeschooling for a fraction of the cost.
There are private schools that'll do it for less, but $10,000 is not expensive for a private school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I wouldn't know.
To find a private school less than $10,000 is a challenge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can do it at home for a lot less.
I think I would agree with you that you can
probably get a better education.
A lot of people are homeschooling, and I recommend homeschooling for people, especially early on.
And now some people have been forced into it, and you know what? It's probably for the best. It's one of those things that the coronavirus has actually done, or the reaction to coronavirus has done, that's probably going to be good for those kids that are put into that situation, because right now, if you're sending your kids back to government schools, I'm going to go ahead and say that that's child abuse. I mean, normally it would be something I would highly recommend against, but given what's actually happening now inside these schools where kids are allowed to, I heard this yesterday, that apparently in these cafeterias, these schools that are reopening, it's like 2 kids per 8-child table, like those round tables that we used to sit at where it would be like 8 to 10 kids at the one table. Now it's like 1 kid on one side and 1 kid on the other.
Yeah, it's disgusting, man.
It's crazy, the restrictions they're putting into place. There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Are you afraid to go to the mailbox because of letter after letter from the IRS? Are they stacking on more and more penalties and interest? By now, you know the problem won't go away on its own. Don't let the IRS chase you to your grave with penalties and interest and liens and levies. You need real help now. I'm Dan Pilla. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I help thousands of people solve tax problems they thought couldn't be solved. I can help you too. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com. danpilla.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want. The number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Mark.
Yeah, so we were talking about the abject failure, apparently, of this governmental federal program that Michelle Obama initiated back in 2010 to reduce obesity, childhood obesity in the United States. Didn't work.
But interestingly, for the last 6 months or whatever, these same kids have not been in school. So and I realize that instead they've just been sitting at home in front of television because there's nothing else most of them can do.
Right.
But have obesity rates gone down simply because they're not eating this crappy school food?
Many schools are handing out lunches. That like you can come by the school, the kids, you just declare that your kid is one of their kids, and you can pick up a subsidized meal.
Well, according to a different story I had from studyfinds.org, and I think I referenced it on the air briefly, but I don't know if we got into it, but at the very least, adults are getting fatter in their quarantine.
I believe that.
So,
if the adults are eating more and not getting out, then the kids are eating more and not getting out too.
As well.
If you don't have anything in particular you're trying to accomplish during your COVID time, you're going to accomplish a bunch of crap, which includes getting fat.
Yeah.
You're going to sit around, you're going to watch YouTube videos or Netflix or whatever, and you're going to munch on stuff.
We can talk about that here in a little bit, but I wanted to stay focused on the schools here. Mark, was there more that you wanted to share from your story? Otherwise, I can tell you more about the reopening process.
Well, Jim Bovard goes on if you want to hear the rest of the
I'm asking you
article,
if it's worth sharing.
I think we've dug the marrow out of this bone.
So I heard on the radio the other day when I was waking up, because I wake up to the radio, and
sure,
it's usually the newscast if it's the top of the hour. And I don't know if I think it's CBS radio news that the local station uses. Mark, do you know offhand the local talk station? I think it might be CBS radio news. Anyway, they had like some little piece about kids going back to school and under COVID, blah, blah, blah. Here's what it's like. And they had some interview with a little kid, right? And, he didn't sound like he was any older than 9 or 8 or something like that.
Hard to know with those little squeaky voices.
And he's, the interview, and I'm going to paraphrase this, was essentially like, well, I didn't like to have to wear the mask, but now I'm used to it. And it was just so sad because this kid was obviously dejected by this so-called new normal, but he's completely immersed in it. And so he's just doing the best he can to get by and do what
people need to turn off the televisions, man.
And do what he's expected to do.
That's what's immersing them in this nonsense.
Well, yeah. And the fact that it's all over the place. I mean, we were just downtown not too long ago, or I was just downtown. We were eating out yesterday, and every single person has a mask on. Almost every single one of them. Yeah, all the other customers that came in had masks on that I saw.
Okay.
Everybody's told that masks help, and
everyone wants to help.
And the internet,
everyone's also told that government schools are a good thing.
Well, yeah, and they don't spend any time examining either one of these things. But the fact is that if you go online and you look at government schools versus any other type of schooling, there is no comparison. It's the worst education you can give your kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no comparison. But when it comes to masks, you might as well be asking, was 9/11 an inside job? I mean, like, you will find all the information saying, what's that? Was it, as far as I'm concerned?
Was it an inside job?
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I think that there's some interesting questions that surround it, but by interesting, I mean, please don't call about it.
Yeah, I wish I could actually do a better impression of this kid, because it went on for longer, but I was sort of sleepy at the time. I don't remember it. It was really sad listening to it.
I mean, it would have to be. These kids are being traumatized by this experience.
That's why I said I consider it to be like, it was bad to send your kids to government school before. I think it's way worse now.
Oh, without a doubt.
Way worse now. This is some of the most damaging antisocial stuff I have ever seen, and we don't even know the half of it because we don't have kids in these government schools, so we don't even know all the various different measures.
I mean, colleges are telling students no hugs. I can only imagine elementary schools and high schools are telling their students the same thing.
No touching, no playground,
everybody's got cooties.
Right.
So I do have a kid, and I had to make a decision whether or not to send back to school, and I refused to send my kid in a building. All right. So a mask is at some point or another, a mask goes from a health aid to a totem. Right. It's just an imaginary thing.
Some would say it's actually not good for your health at all.
I understand what some would say.
There was an interesting speech at the mask event.
I understand, but if you believe that masks prevent COVID. And I'm not here to tell you how to believe, but if you believe that, you can't possibly believe, and you believe that COVID is an airborne disease, because if it's not an airborne disease, why the hell are we wearing masks? If you believe it's an airborne disease, how long does the mask give you? I mean, will a mask magically protect you in a room of 10 people with COVID?
It doesn't protect the wearer. It doesn't protect the wearer. I mean, that's the one single greatest thing that people misunderstand about the entire mask thing.
What I'm
that
saying
it is not meant to protect the wearer.
Okay, fine. It's not intended to protect the wearer.
Okay, well, let's portray that instead of perpetuating.
All right, there's 11 people in the room. Every one of them has a damn mask on, okay?
Thank you. That's
10 of them
accurate
have
to what they're supposed
COVID.
to actually achieve instead of this nonsense that will this mask protect you.
God, we only have 10 minutes, so I can't even get out my scenario yet.
Well, your scenario is falsely premised.
Right. There are 11 people in the room. 10 of them, all of them have masks on, and 10 of them have COVID. You are the 11th. How long do you think your mask is going to protect you against COVID, catching COVID? Do you think it's going to protect you for 2 hours? Do you think it's going to protect you for 4 hours? Do you think it's going to protect you for 8 hours? It ain't freaking magic, people.
Okay, so what Aria was trying to say was that the propaganda about the masks
I know
is
there's
that
a
they
lot of propaganda,
is that they protect the people from the others who are wearing the masks.
Some of the propaganda says that you get a 30% protection from wearing a mask from getting COVID, and that you get a 70%.
And other people say that the virus goes right through it.
I mean, there are the anti-mask people, right, who constantly say, oh, well, look, this isn't big enough to catch the droplets.
Sure.
The virus is smaller than these holes, and it's not going to protect you from catching COVID-19. All of those notions are scientifically false. No one is making the claims. No scientist, no one who knows what they're talking about is making the claims that a mask is going to protect the wearer from catching COVID-19.
It says right on the box,
but the anti-mask people tout that out like it's everything. Like, oh, it's not going to protect the wearer. It's not meant to.
Sure.
It's meant to protect people from you.
I understand that,
but if the virus can pass through it, then how's it going to protect them at all?
Because the droplets that contain the virus can't pass through it.
Around here, most people are pro-mask, but they're so pro-mask that they believe in magic thinking.
Sure.
Because they think that they can send their kid to school for 8 hours with a mask on, and that's going to protect against COVID. Either his classmates don't have COVID, and they're not transmitting it.
But see, Mark, you're perpetuating that false notion again. If they believe that putting their kid in a mask is going to help their kid not catch COVID, then they're believing a false premise. It's not meant to protect their kid, the wearing of that mask.
Right.
It's meant to protect the other kids from their kid.
I understand, but
that's the premise we have to tackle the mask issue from.
But everybody's sending their kid to school with a mask.
But it won't work, okay? Because look, even if what these things are saying is true, and I don't know if I believe it, right? Because I don't know what the truth is. There's a bunch of people claiming that science is on their side about this. Some people say the virus goes right through these masks. They say that even on the mask boxes, it says it doesn't protect you from COVID, or it doesn't stop COVID, or anything like that. So there's all that. But let's presume that it does do what they say. Let's say, and I don't believe it, but let's say that the mask will stop a person with COVID from easily spreading it to somebody who doesn't have it. Okay, well, they just touched the mask. And then they touched the counter, and then they touched their friend.
They're saying that touching probably doesn't matter.
You want to bet
nearly as much.
If you're sitting in there and you're sitting in that mask for 8 hours, and you're breathing constantly into that mask, and you're touching it all day long, readjusting it, touching it all day long, and then touching everything else. Well, guess what? You just transmitted your COVID or whatever nasty thing that you've got onto every other thing that you've touched, which of course everyone else in the room is also touching at some point, like the door handles and what. I mean, it is just
it's critical
ridiculous
that people not touch their mask, and if they
that
do,
is
they
not going to happen.
I know,
if
but
adults if adults can't stop touching their mask, you better believe the kids are going to keep touching their masks.
And if they touch their mask, they should immediately go and wash their hands.
It's all about obedience. It's all about the show of we're doing something. We care about this, and that's all it is. It's meaningless. So you're correct, Mark. If a bunch of people are in a room with a bunch of masks on, it ain't going to do jack squat to stop whatever from being transmitted, whether it's COVID or the flu or the common cold or anything like that, because they're all going to be touching things.
I wouldn't propose to know how COVID is transmitted.
Me neither.
But I know how most viruses are transmitted. Yeah. And in many cases, the touching of masks is a bad thing. And the fact is that we had deadly viruses before COVID.
And we're going to have them again.
They're going to be every year. We're always going to have deadly viruses.
And I don't want to live in this this crazy mask world. This is just insane. And wait till you hear what's going on in these government schools. We talked about colleges earlier this week. We'll continue.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A historic night. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. In less than 2 hours, night 3 of the Democratic National Convention gets underway.
The Dems are expected to unleash some of their biggest star power. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and former President Barack Obama, all embracing the night's theme, a more perfect union, arguing the very democracy of this country is on the line. Capping the night, Senator Kamala Harris accepting the nomination for vice president. Although she's not the first woman to trailblaze her way to the nominating stage, Geraldine Ferraro and Sarah Palin stood in her shoes in 1984 and 2008, and Hillary Clinton as the presidential nominee in 2016. Harris is the first woman of color on a major party ticket.
Fox's Caroline Shively. The Democratic National Convention Committee has released excerpts from former President Obama's speech. He's expected to say in part that President Trump has shown no interest in putting in the work, no interest in finding common ground, no interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends, no interest in treating the presidency as anything but one more reality show that he says he can use to get the attention that he craves. A short time ago, President Trump said the U.S. will demand tomorrow that all UN sanctions be reimposed against Iran, saying he's directing Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to notify the UN Security Council of the administration's intentions. They called it Operation Legend. The Justice Department says in a matter of weeks, they've taken hundreds of violent criminals off the streets.
Those arrested, we have charged more than 200 federal, and that includes more than 100 charged for federal gun crimes, 21 of which have been here in Kansas City.
The initiative was named after a 4-year-old who was shot and killed while he slept in Kansas City, Missouri. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7, We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
That a lack of resources as firefighters in California are by lightning strikes.
The SCU complex fires, now 85,000 acres, and Alameda counties, among others. Another lightning complex fire is burning in Napa and Sonoma. It's destroyed dozens of homes in the town of Vacaville. And then there's the CCU complex.
Saw a major increase in fire activity throughout both San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties. And we saw several of the fires merge together and essentially make a significant run into Santa Cruz County.
That's CAL FIRE Deputy Chief Jonathan Cox. Another official said resources are stretched so thin they are double shifting the personnel they have on the fire line. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
At-home learning taking a financial toll for some parents.
A survey finds some parents are going into debt because of the shift to remote learning, with 33% telling Credit Karma they don't feel prepared to pay for school-related necessities in the upcoming school year. A quarter say they've already gone into debt just for supplies to support at-home learning, and more than 1 in 10 say they expect by the end of the year they'll need to take on debt. One factor making virtual learning tough on budgets, higher grocery bills. Before the pandemic, some 30 million kids were fed meals at school, most for free or at reduced cost. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar making a change as we head back into school time. Pharmacists in all 50 states are now allowed to give childhood vaccinations. It's a move designed to prevent future outbreaks of measles and other preventable diseases. Azar took the step using emergency powers he has during the pandemic. A report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention finds orders for vaccines from doctors' offices fell sharply in late March as offices closed or saw fewer patients. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Video game players love customizing every aspect of their character. One game, Elder Scrolls Online, has set a new bar for character creation by letting players design every organ and cell in their avatar's body.
In Elder Scrolls Online, you get to play as whoever you want to play. You are in control of everything from your character's face to their hair to their arteries. We're not just going to give you some pre-made bones and ligaments. You get to create the musculoskeletal system that's right for you. You can even alter the DNA.
Are all of these changes just cosmetic?
No, not at all. They have a huge effect on game playing. If your character's body has any anatomical flaws, they could die immediately.
Beta testers say that designing every aspect of their character is a compelling experience.
I've been designing my orc's liver for 5 hours now. This is awesome.
Designing the hands is the hardest part. I keep having to look up how all the joints connect.
Players can also press the randomize button to get a completely random collection of body parts.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of the program. As always, you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
So to start this hour out, we're going to continue on a similar thread. Mark, you were talking about the government trying to reduce obesity, childhood obesity, by increasing the carbohydrate counts in their government school food programs.
Bad idea.
Turns out that didn't work, and that led to another discussion about getting kids out of government schools because it is just absolutely, it's worse than it's ever been. I mean, it's been bad because it's government school, and government school's just generally bad. I mean, they don't have an incentive to achieve anything great. They get paid whether they do a good job or a bad job, so it really doesn't matter. And so their budgets go up year after year either way. And now they're going to probably be asking for, or demanding, because they don't ask, demanding even more money, given that now there's going to be socially distanced learning going on, where kids won't be able to be sitting next to one another.
We're going to educate fewer kids,
Are
fewer
schools
days
even,
of the week,
Yeah,
and
are
charge you
schools
more.
even big enough for this nonsense?
No. They're going to have to build bigger schools.
Right, and nothing in our society has been built for social distancing. I mean, social distancing is a new idea.
It's a terrible idea.
Well,
it is an antisocial idea, as I explained in my speech this weekend at the Mask Freedom event, which, by the way, the highlights from those speeches are now up over at freekeen.com. So if you want to see, I would say most of Nobody's speech and most of my speech, they're there, but still highlights version. I did post Nobody's full speech as well on the Freekeen YouTube channel. But if you go to freekeen.com, you can see about a 22, 23 minute summary, basically, of all the speeches from the day. And so I wanted to share this story I've been holding on to for about a week now, because apparently some of the schools here in New Hampshire are already back.
Yeah.
It's mid-August here, and they're back to class.
It's mid-August everywhere in the United States.
Yeah, but it's like...
Thank you, Mark.
For me, though, I don't remember going back to class as early as some of these kids do.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
We went back to school maybe the 30th, 29th.
The very end of
August.
Yeah.
But I mean, my mother was shocked that they didn't wait until after Labor Day, which is right. Isn't that the first something in September?
The first weekend in September usually. So here's the story from the Foster's Daily Democrat, which is a newspaper on the seacoast of New Hampshire.
I wonder who they're going to endorse for president.
Typical first day nerves and iron back to school dresses mixed with cautious optimism and face masks Tuesday at Maple Street Magnet School. He's starting kindergarten in the middle of a pandemic, Kaylee Shute said, tears around her eyes moments after wishing her 5-year-old son Mason well on his first day.
Can we reflect on the fact that somebody is starting kindergarten in the middle of a pandemic and they think that a little piece of fabric over their face is going to save them from this? Or, to be more accurate, little pieces of fabric on the faces of everyone else is going to save them. How about if you want to be a responsible parent and you believe this pandemic crap is real and a threat to you and your child's health, keep your kid at home.
Well,
I don't see any justification for being this hysterical about COVID-19 and sending your children to public schools.
Well, it comes back to what Mark said before. It's
we
like
don't know how hysterical she is.
She could just be crying because it's his first day at school, and moms are like that.
A variety of things. I mean, I agree with your premise,
Sure.
right? You either think that this is a big deal or you don't, and if you do, what you think the government made this problem, they're not going to fix it. So
let me go to Jones Inc. before we get deeper into the story here. He's on our lines on the Discord server. Go ahead, Jones.
Well, I want to talk about what exactly is going on. I know a few weeks ago you guys talked about this pajama ban at a school in Illinois, I believe.
This is for the online learning?
Yeah, for the online learning.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually researched this school because I was curious and I was like, what are they doing? Well, that's not the big story coming out of this school. They're actually super racist in this school. This is an inner city school, and they actually don't hire white people.
Okay.
So there's a lawsuit coming out right now. It's like some $8 million, I think. It was, from what I've read, and it's basically a civil rights violation because these people wouldn't hire Caucasians.
What is the percentage of students at the school who are white?
It's majority African American.
It would make sense to me for a school that is majority black to have teachers that are at least majority black.
That sounds like I get the idea of having similar demographics and that sort of thing, but let's remember that if you forced this scenario from the outside, it would be the most abjectly racist thing that whatever government agency that enforced it could ever possibly do. You can't hire. You must have black teachers.
Mm-hmm. I don't get why you can't just hire the person best for the job. That makes more sense to me.
Well, it could very well be that their ability to reach students on a level that these students can relate to is a core part of being a teacher.
Well, it goes farther than just teachers. It goes basketball coaches, security, and janitors from what I've read.
Sure. all of whom play a role in shaping the students at schools. I just don't see an issue with this.
Yeah, I really don't care ultimately, because why would I want to go work at a place that doesn't want to have me? This I've never understood. Why is it that people make such a big deal about, well, so-and-so won't hire me because I'm a woman or because I'm a man or because I'm a this or that? And it's like, okay, well, why would you want to work for that person anyway? If you could go in
just
there
bake
now,
the damn cake.
Right, if you could go in there now and force this person to hire you, is this really going to be a fun job to work at now that you forced them to hire you?
It's probably not, but it does show that teacher is a desirable job to have. And
sure, you don't have to work like a good chunk of the year.
Yeah,
sweet.
And you know, the
you
union
get paid
negotiated
pretty
wages
well.
and
The
all that
bennies.
stuff.
Yeah, the
so it's
bennies.
desirable. And on the other hand, it also shows that, hey, people make stupid statements about race all the time, one of which being, you know, well, we're not going to hire white people or something.
Well, it also goes to show how, like, I don't think that this school wants what's best for the students, and it really has its own, how do we say, view or look in mind.
Well, it could be.
Why do you say they don't want what's best for the students?
Well, because you look at this and, like, wouldn't you think logically that you would hire the best person for the job?
Again, I mean, you're ignoring the point that I made, which is that it could be that, you know, the affluent white person coming into the school is not the best person for the job because they have no ability to reach the students.
They can't connect.
Hold
They're
on.
not
Guys,
from there.
I got it. You know, like, a school should be able to hire whom it wishes, but when you're talking about a government school, do you think it should be able to discriminate based on race?
We don't know if that's what's actually going on here, right?
Well, that's his
claim. It is. I can say yes, it is, and the
Okay.
lawsuit is pretty much
So
finalized.
have they made some sort of
listeners
statement?
can go and look up the lawsuit if they want to get facts.
Well,
If
we haven't
somebody
gotten any
calls-
information about which school or where
If
this is.
somebody wants
but-
to call in, we can only take the premise that they provide, and the premise that
Well, no, we
he's
can't. We can, you know, say poke holes in the premise. And so, are you saying that the school actually specifically has announced that they will not hire anyone but black people?
But so I have insider information. I'm not going to tell you who I am or whatever, but it's I know people inside the school district, relatives, and yes, this is going on, and I can tell you it's highly been documented, and there is a lawsuit going on.
Well, I mean, if they
I
have
heard
what they
no, the school did not come out and say that they will not hire white teachers.
Yeah, that's what he
but-
said. But
it would be highly unwise to do such a thing.
Right, because then there would be an actual case. And
but
in this
if
case,
you had a school that only hired white people and turned down a whole bunch of black people that you know made applications and stuff, that would be considered evidence in a case. So if the opposite is true,
How many black teachers do they have at Keene High?
I don't know. I don't. How would I possibly
It's probably
know the answer
zero.
to that?
Yeah, but
the
Aria,
questions-
how many black teachers applied?
I don't know. I don't pay
See,
attention
that-
to
that's
those
what
things. But
that's
let us
what
know
I'm
how this
saying.
lawsuit goes, Jones, because, you know, if they've got evidence for it, then, well, we know government bureaucracies have these things called affirmative action where they demand that a certain percentage of people be this color and that color. And, of course, libertarians tend to be against things like affirmative action. But then again, we're also against government schools, period. Let the market decide. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. DIVI project.org.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Kids going back to school, and it is not the same as it has ever been. Man, it is so sad what's happening to these poor kids out there, especially the ones that never knew anything else. They're talking about...
It will be. They're normal.
This is, yeah. This is. They're talking about a kid here in this story from the seacoast of New Hampshire. You know, he's 5 years old. He just went to school for the very first time in this COVID insane world. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Mark.
And I want you to know about Bitcoin.com. You can go there to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. That is a great site to go and learn the basics over at Bitcoin.com. But it's more than that. If you're not brand new to cryptocurrency, you can go and get the latest news headlines there over on their news site at news.bitcoin.com. That's news.bitcoin.com. There you've got some really cool features there, and I've just scratched the surface on the site. It's a pretty deep site with a lot of content. Bitcoin.com. They're talking here with a mom, Kaylee Shute. She's sending her son off for the very first day of school. And this is normally an emotional moment for a mom, right? Because, you know, moms, the whole letting the bird out of the nest thing, right? The little bird or whatever. It's a sad day. Sort of going to school is sort of that first step of getting out of the nest, right? They're leaving your arms for the first time ever.
Somebody else's.
It's an emotion. Learn dependence on government.
Yeah. And obedience. And oh boy, is the obedience cranked up to 11 now that they've got all the social distancing guidelines and the masks all required. And She says she's got a daughter who will attend elementary school when the rest of Rochester's public schools resume September 3rd, but her son she says he's excited, and I don't want to deprive him. You can't let the pandemic keep you from doing what your kids need to do to learn and grow.
Well, I think that is a proper attitude, right?
But that's not what she's doing. She's not helping her child grow. She's stunting his social growth by sending him to a place where so-called social distancing is the rule and is the norm. That is not good for growth.
Sure, but she thinks otherwise.
That's true. She's been brainwashed.
Well,
she thinks she's going to protect her son from killing her grandmother or something like that by following all these completely arbitrary rules, which, of course...
I think that's the worst part about this, is there's a lot of grandparents in this country right now that are separated from their kids for the silliest of reasons.
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean, look at the amount of cases in your county. The chances are slim that the person you love the most in this world is going to pass off some virus to you.
Yep. But out of fear, they won't be giving their own grandchildren hugs now. Got to stay away from your own grandchildren.
That is the worst part of this.
It's one of them.
Cortisol kills. Stressed out people have higher levels of cortisol. I mean, Americans could very well be dying from the cure, not the disease.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true, especially when you look at suicide numbers on the increase.
Drug and alcohol addiction rates.
Absolutely. They're going up.
Suicide rates, depression rates, anxiety rates. Yeah.
But if it only saves one life... Oh, wait, no, people have already killed themselves, so that didn't work. The small K-5 public school became the first in New Hampshire to resume in-person instruction amid the COVID-19 pandemic when it welcomed students back on Tuesday. This was last week, not yesterday. I'm so glad to see you, Dr. Erin Mahoney, Maple Street's principal, said as she and the staff air high-fived the masked students.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Yeah. And helped them practice social distancing while they entered the school. So make sure you stay in. Remember lines in school? They always had lines, right? You had to wait in a line for whatever the hell it was. Well, now you've got to wait.
Training us to deal with the DMV.
Yeah, now you've got to wait in an even longer line.
DMV training.
That is 6 times as long as it was previously. The school welcomed back roughly 3/4 of their 110 students on Tuesday, according to district officials, in accordance with the district's full-time in-person instruction plan. The remainder of students have relayed they plan to utilize their remote learning option, online programs, through the Exeter-based nonprofit Virtual Learning Academy Charter School. Blah, blah, blah. We're really excited to have students back, and we're looking forward to having a really positive and exciting year, said the assistant superintendent in a phone interview. In addition to Shute, several other parents, both of new Maple Street students and returning students, said after dropping their kids off Tuesday, they were nervous about the potential risks associated with reopening schools. But like Shute, they said...
The student said this?
The parents.
Okay.
They said they did so because they believed doing so would be the best option for their children. Shute said, quote, I feel like the kids are pros at this point, she said about her kids' ability to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. So they've been indoctrinated pretty good for a 5-month period, so they're pros. They're ready to go back to school. Other parents said the decision was out of her control because the district's reopening plan provides only a fully in-person or fully remote option. She said, I didn't have another choice. This is not a choice. I really had it all.
You did have a choice.
And what's that?
Not sending your kid to government school.
Not having kids.
Well,
also
there was
a good
that choice.
You can't undo the choice, though. Now you got the kid. What do you do?
Well, and as libertarian Sammy in our D-Live chat points out, she says, unfortunately, single moms can't just stay home. I wish I could, she says.
Yeah, you've got to, in that case, it makes it much more difficult. When you don't live with somebody who can do some caretaking, it basically school is the only option. The question is, how are you going to pay for it? And the government robs us every day with this, for this huge tax burden, and that makes it difficult for parents to pay to send their kids elsewhere. Homeschooling's cheap, but you got to make a living.
Lauder, who's an independent esthetician, said the homeschool program, or not homeschool, but the school-at-home program, let's call it that, remote learning, won't work for her because she has to reopen her business, Inspired Skincare in downtown Dover, to provide for her family. She was previously relying on the enhanced unemployment benefits that have now ended and a deferment in her mortgage payments. She said she's unsure what the future holds because the pandemic will reduce her client load and add risk due to the fact that her clients can't wear masks while they receive their treatments.
Ian isn't all creepy the way he says it, though, Mark.
Lauder cried at several points during the drop-off Tuesday, said she'd likely start crying again once she got to her car. Despite that, she said there's a key factor helping calm her fears and making her more comfortable about her kid's return. She says, "I have a lot of trust in Dr. Mahoney." That's the principal there. "I know schools reopening is a hot controversy, and there are a lot of big opinions and emotions, but those general opinions show a lack of understanding of who these teachers are, how much they love these kids, and how much they will do everything they can. I'm just trusting those people," she said.
Has she ever met a public school teacher?
Oh, I don't think all public.
Some of them
I think
care.
the vast majority of public school teachers, are going to say that they love the kids.
Sure,
but the thing is that there's these teachers, right? They're not epidemiologists, and the epidemiologists don't know what the hell they're talking about. Frankly, if you look at the numbers of deaths here and the numbers of cases, at least in Florida.
I feel a graph coming. Do you have a graph, Mark?
There's nothing to worry about. I have several pulled up.
Okay, so here we go. Rochester, like other districts, has made various protocol and building modifications to incorporate COVID-19 safety measures. These include spacing out desks at least 3 to 6 feet apart, a mask mandate, cohorting students where possible. I don't know what cohorting that means. What does that mean?
I don't know what it means in this circumstance.
And placing 18-inch tall, opaque privacy carrels atop desks to increase student protection against respiratory droplet transmission.
Sounds like we're going to be playing on our phones during class.
More coming up
I imagine
here.
it's see-through, right?
Opaque. It's Free Talk Live.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now's your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
855 450 free. By the way, you guys are missing Mark giving Aria fashion tips.
Dude, I swear I have to start recording it when we go to commercial. I just
completely unsolicited fashion tips.
No, I said
Mark.
if you want my opinion, we were talking about something.
Yes, it's true, and she did welcome it.
Yeah,
and then
she
ridiculed
I
it.
welcome him to
her.
give it.
Yeah. So 855 450 free. We looked up the term cohort because we're looking at this list of things that they're doing to keep the children safe at these government schools, at least one of them in Rochester, New Hampshire, where they're spacing out desks 3 to 6 feet apart. There's a mask mandate, and they are, quote, cohorting students where possible. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Cohort sounds like it involves a group of people or two people or whatever. According to the CDC, on a lengthy page about preparing schools for so-called safe return of students, what is cohorting? Cohorting, sometimes called podding, is a new term for a strategy that schools may use to limit contact between students and staff as part of their efforts to limit transmission of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19. These strategies work by keeping groups of students and sometimes staff together over the course of a predetermined period of time. Ideally, the students and staff within a cohort will only have physical proximity with others in the same cohort. So therefore, so what this sounds like is they're keeping the groups of students with the same groups of students.
So Canada's social circles have come to the United States.
Basically, that you have a limited number of people with whom you are allowed to interact, and you shall not be interacting with other people outside of that.
You're encouraged to interact with the smaller group of people. They're incentivized. It's structured in such a way.
Is that like how they're encouraging people to wear masks?
It's mandatory, Mark. You're not going to be given another option. This is government school. You're in prison for the day, and you'll do what the warden tells you to.
So out in the hallways, are they staggering the students' days? So
from what it sounds like, they're keeping the students in the same classroom. So remember when we went to school, you'd go to different classrooms.
Yeah.
There were, you'd go to the math class, the math teacher's room. You'd go to the
2 minutes to rush to the other side of the school with all your books that you had to carry around because you couldn't stop off at your locker in order to get over to English on the other side.
So now they're saying they may bring the different teacher into the room with the same group of students. So the students would not leave.
Instead, the teachers would?
That's what they're saying.
That doesn't sound any better. I mean, it wasn't the whole point of the class-changing thing because teachers needed specialized materials, like the math teacher needs stuff that the grammar teacher doesn't.
That seems like a good reason for it. So that's just one way. I mean, maybe they're going to modify this in certain ways, but anyway, that's the idea behind the cohorting.
I think
Can I suggest that kids burn their schools down?
Please don't.
Yeah, it's an improvement.
I'd say that from the standpoint of not spreading diseases, this might be the better way, but
Again, it's rife with all kinds of problems, and
number one, it limits your social interaction as a student to only the people who happen to be placed in your cohort,
and
which will likely not be your choosing.
And that's the only reason to go to government school is the social.
That's what they say,
right?
That's a bunch of BS too, because the private schoolers can do their own activities with each other.
So
or
can
the
homeschoolers
Yeah,
and
the
unschoolers.
Right.
Right.
They have homeschooling groups. For
saying that the reason that people want to go to their schools, the schools they go to, most people can't imagine having gone to high school at a different school than the one they went to. They can't imagine that would necessarily be a good thing, because I believe it's Stockholm syndrome is what I believe.
So also the 18-inch tall, so 1.5 tall, opaque privacy carrel, which I had to look up exactly what a carrel is. It is
I call that my sleeping cube.
It's like a foldy thing. So like you remember the
science projects.
Science projects,
yeah.
right? So those were fairly tall, but like imagine an 18-inch tall science project thing that sort of folds on the sides and folds out, and sort of it will wrap around the front 3 sides of your desk, basically.
Why half-ass it? Just put the kids in cubicles. That's what they're getting at.
That's what they're doing here, yeah, basically.
So go the full distance. Do it. Stop being cowards. Show the world what you really want to do to people, and just start throwing 5-year-olds in cubicles.
So they say that these will increase student protection against respiratory droplet transmission. So in addition to being masked, they are now going to be behind the privacy carols as well.
In addition to being socially distanced.
Yeah, for 3 to 6 feet away from any other desks nearby. The district isn't offering its own online instruction taught by Rochester teachers due to contract constraints that limit the number of options either to full in-person instruction or fully remote instruction. So going on here, another mother at this Maple Street school of a 3rd grader said in a phone interview she wishes there were more flexibility for families and school employees. She plans for her children to use the at-home learning rather than return in person because her kids are immunocompromised and medically at high risk. Well, sorry, Ms. Crichton, that's sorry to disappoint you. The government isn't there to actually make you happy. They aren't there to offer you options that will actually be customizable to you and your family and the things that you need. That's something you would get from a market in education, because then you could get exactly what you wanted, and if it wasn't available in the marketplace, you could create it. But right now, that's not going to happen because, well, as you pointed out, Mark, most of these parents are already paying property taxes, and so they're not willing to pay on top of property taxes an additional amount of money just to send their kids somewhere else or to do their own thing. Quote, fortunately, we are able to work into our schedule to be able to stay at home and educate them. I know a lot of families don't have that option, and my heart goes out to them. She says, I'm disappointed in there not being a remote option from the district, especially for my daughter. She's young and social, and I worry about her doing the at-home learning and only meeting with a teacher once a week to go over that program that they just created this year for those younger grades. Another mom says she believes the options available to parents are, quote, not ideal, unquote. And she said she would have preferred a hybrid model that reduced the days masked students stay in school each week because, quote, each kid is different.
School choice would be great in this particular scenario. She could find the school that was offering exactly what she wanted.
Yep.
And just send her kid to that school.
Yeah, unfortunately,
school choice usually means we're going to take the tax money from everybody for schools, and then we're going to distribute it to the parents so that they can then choose what school they want. I don't think you mean it that way, but a lot of people think of school choice that way. Do you consider that an upgrade?
I just meant being able to say, hey, this school is doing the thing I want my kid to be doing, so I'm going. Just being able to choose a school. That's what I mean when I say school choice.
Yeah.
The ability to choose a school.
And the ability should include the choice of not paying property taxes in the first place, so you can retain 100% of the money that you need to make choices like this. There's really not much else to say. It's just a few more comments from parents about how, they're not happy. They're not happy with any of the options basically being presented to them, but it's not like they're going to do anything differently about it. Voting isn't going to solve this problem because no one running is actually talking about ending government schools.
The one thing that I'm looking for as a parent is I'm looking to be able to keep my tax money so that I can apply it to the school that I want to send my kid to. Hey, politicians. Hey, teachers' unions. Hey, principals. Do you think you can work that out for me?
No.
No, they can't.
No, they like
it's
things.
easier to rob you.
Yeah. Well, they like things
because
just how
that's
they
what
are.
because it could be no more clearly displayed than it is right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's because the government is the most successful organized crime syndicate in a given geographic area.
Mm-hmm.
If there was another more successful organized crime syndicate, they would, by definition, be the government.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Yeah, they would.
I mean, that's it. So,
and unfortunately,
you may like them, but the government's just a gang that flies a flag out in front of their office.
And unfortunately, people are so they've given up. They don't believe that there's any chance to actually make any significant changes. I called in on the local talk show before they have here in the Keene area, and I've proposed the idea of, making schools voluntary, making it so people can just keep the money that they have and then do what they want with it.
I bet that made them crazy.
And the lady on the other end of the show is like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, but it's not possible.
Why not?
Because they don't believe it's possible. And as long as people don't believe a thing, it will never happen. We have to be able to persuade people to think differently, whether it be about ending government schools or seceding from the United States. And the only way we can get to that point is by talking about it enough and convincing enough people to change their mind and believe that these things are possible. So we've got a long way to go. More coming up.
Are you ready for what's next? It's likely coming. More food shortages, power outages, grocery stores closed, social unrest. Ask yourself, do you have enough food and supplies on hand to last at least 30 days? Most Americans do not, but you can. Avoid the panic of the last-minute rush. Order your 4-week supply of emergency food today from mypatriotsupply.com. Starvation or dependency on the government are your only alternatives. Avoid those and the pain of being unprepared. Go to mypatriotsupply.com right now. Build your emergency food supply with meals that last up to 25 years in storage, shipped discreetly to your door. Folks that know what's coming are using today to prepare. There's time for you to do the same. That's mypatriotsupply.com, the original Patriot Preparedness Company. mypatriotsupply.com.
Attention radio listeners, have you ever wanted to be independent of the utility companies and actually generate your own supply of off-grid electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. A limited number of solar-powered backup generators are back in stock and now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running silently, secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep food from spoiling. Go to mysolarbackup.com to learn more. That's mysolarbackup.com. Supplies are still limited and are available on a first-come, first-served basis only. mysolarbackup.com.
Facing mounting criticism that lethal injection is cruel and outdated, Ohio has replaced it with a system that quickly and humanely rips off the heads of death row inmates using powerful robotic arms. The new device is designed to be as humane as possible, emitting soothing white noise and putting prisoners on a cushioned seat before its metallic talons dig into their necks and painlessly wrench their heads off. Ohio Department of Corrections Director Gary Moore praised the machine, saying, quote, "Our new system is a hallmark of compassion. Now these deaths will be pain-free because the machine's claws are coated with topical anesthetic." Quickly pulling off a prisoner's head is considered less cruel than lethal injection, which requires 3 separate chemicals. And Ohio isn't the only state changing the way it handles capital punishment. Last month, Texas unveiled the Machinator, which humanely squishes up to 50 prisoners at once. Coming up next, is anything valuable buried in the woods behind my house? Our team of investigators finds out.
This is the Onion News Network.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up what you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms at discord.lrn.fm. Hop on in, and you can join us there, and you can talk about anything with you in the studio tonight. It's Ian,
Aria,
and Mark.
So there's not much else to say unless you guys want to weigh in here on going back to these awful government schools, because now they're going to be 10 times worse than they've ever been with the obedience, the lines, the COVID, just restrictions. I feel so bad for these kids with their parents teaching them all the so-called social distancing and how it's good and this is what's going to save our country and save our grandparents, and all this fear that's being peddled out there in a way that I've never seen in my lifetime, and it is just so sad.
Some private schools, more people are keeping their kids home for homeschooling than ever before, and parents should look into it. We homeschooled for a long time. Jack also went to a thing called a nature school, which was, whatever. It was
for nudists?
It was held outdoors, and they went on walks and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
that would be a naturalist school.
Ah, okay.
They did math with like sticks, whatever. It was, he was quite young, but I think that you could do more classwork outdoors or under tents or things like that. If you're concerned with the amount of the virus in the air in a given classroom.
Go ahead, Mark.
The viral load, as they call it. Then being outdoors would handle that particular issue. And I think schools should really actually consider that rather than all these draconian things. Look, I get it. Some people live in places that it's going to get cold.
Yep.
Or hot. I can't imagine having outdoor classes in the middle of August in Louisiana or Mississippi.
Or Florida. They're doing it right now.
I've never been to Florida, so.
Well, it's no better.
It's got to be miserable.
Yeah, I mean, being in government school is miserable to begin with, and now it is going to be absolutely terrible.
Go hang outside all day, 7 hours.
There'd be a breeze,
Maybe, yeah.
Well, Waldorf schools say there's no such thing as bad weather.
Let's
Only inappropriate clothing.
To your calls. Creighton is on the line in Kentucky. Creighton, you're on Free Talk Live.
How's it going today, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Recently, I went on a vacation to Michigan, to one of those beach towns on Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And I wanted to call and mention to you guys how encouraged I was while I was there. Of course, you guys have already talked about the numerous orders from the governor of Michigan concerning public interaction and what businesses can do and not do.
Yep.
But I'm here to tell you that for the most part, they're just hanging signs up and doing whatever they want.
Okay.
I think a lot of businesses are doing that all across the country, yes.
That's largely what's happening here in New Hampshire.
But every once in a while,
except for here in Keene,
the state actors will come along and they'll snatch up one of these people to try to make an example of them. They don't apply the rules.
They threatened a business owner here in Keene. The health department came this week and told him no dancing.
No dancing.
You've got to enforce
No
your
dancing.
customers are not allowed to dance.
Was this where I think it was?
It's at one of the few places that has a dance floor here
Okay.
in town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No dancing.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Jeez, it sounds like Footloose.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Go ahead, Crichton.
Well, the interesting thing is that although the state can generally make a business hang a sign, they can't really enlist them to enforce the law.
That's what they're trying to do right here in Keene, New Hampshire. They are telling
They do
business
it all
owners
the time.
Successful.
I mean,
they are telling business owners, if you do not enforce our rules on your customers, we will fine you.
That's what they do with cigarettes. That's what they do with liquor. They do it all the time.
It turned every employee at these businesses into a government agent.
Yeah.
Where if they don't want to lose their jobs, they have to call the police. They have to call the authorities about the person who entered without a mask and who won't leave. I mean, their
But they're
job is
supposed
now
to.
on the line. The government successfully turned everyone working out in the private sector into an agent of the state.
And you're right, Mark. They have been doing this with cigarettes and alcohol for our lifetimes, or most of them. And unfortunately, that's probably going to be their argument. Like when this does go to court, and I'm expecting that it will go to court, they may make that very argument. Well, hey, what's your problem? You've been enforcing cigarette ages. You've been enforcing alcohol ages. Now we're just asking you to enforce another 10 different rules.
There is this particular issue with both of those, though. When particular businesses sign up to be able to sell either one of those controlled substances, they agree to those conditions.
True. They did ask for the license.
Right.
So
There's no dancing license.
a cabaret license. Yeah, they used to
I guess
actually
there
have
is,
that.
yeah.
They had that in New York City, Mark, back in like 100 years ago in New York City.
I thought they had cabaret licenses here in New Hampshire within the last couple of decades.
Maybe they do, but I've not heard of that. So, yeah, Crichton, anything else you want to share?
Nope, just wanted to share my experience.
Thanks,
Have a
dude.
great night,
Appreciate
guys.
hearing from you. Let's talk to Hank. He's on the line in Ocala, Florida. Hank, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to weigh in on the school thing.
Please.
I support free choice, and parents should be allowed to send their kids to school. But your property taxes that you pay individually is very small compared to the amount it costs to educate a child. It's paid for by a lot of people who pay property taxes that do not no longer have children in school.
Oh, yes.
Or have no children.
Yeah, so it's totally unfair against those people who don't even have any kids. They're being forced to send other people's kids to school and being forced to pay for an indoctrination lesson that they may not necessarily agree with. So it's totally wrong against the people who don't have kids. And the other thing is, even though you're citing government schools cost a lot of money, and they certainly do. I think per pupil up here in Keene, it's like $20,000 a year is what they spend, which is ridiculous.
Jesus.
It was only like 7 or 8 down in Florida 20 years ago when we were going, when we were living down there. So they were already paying double when we moved up here, and I don't know if the education's that much better. So yeah, I think that what you would see happen is if there were no government schools and instead we actually had a free market in education, I think you'd see the yearly cost of education going down over the years, just like you see the cost of computers going down over the
prices
years.
will go down with competition increasing.
Exactly.
Sure.
If there was more competition, then you'd see a bunch of different options, and they'd be a variety of prices.
But my whole point was the actual cost to the parent for the kid's education is very little, because the majority of the cost is paid for by the community, whether it's private or public, as we do.
Well, no,
right
generally
now.
you don't pay for a private school through taxes, so that doesn't really apply here.
Well, what he's saying is if you did school choice, what he's saying is that currently parents get a better deal, quote unquote.
No, they don't. Government schools sucks.
They do suck.
Yeah,
Government
because
schools blow.
You get
dude.
what you pay for.
But they are middle class welfare babysitting day prison, so you get that.
If you're paying, go ahead, Hank.
Your property taxes what you actually pay yourself and you pay for school, what is divided up for schools, is very small compared to the cost it would cost you to send your
I understand. You've said that probably 3 times in a row now. But again, if you had a free marketplace where competition was actually in play and you didn't have this one-size-fits-all government indoctrination system, then you would probably see prices of schools coming down dramatically.
And I would go even further and say that if you can't, even if property taxes are eliminated from this entire equation, if a person can't pay, if the person can't financially support their children, then they shouldn't have them. It's not my responsibility to subsidize your lifestyle because you were irresponsible and can't financially plan.
That's a great point.
So I don't care how much it costs. I don't care how much of it's overwritten by, or, you know, met by their property taxes.
Yeah.
None of that matters to me. It's not my responsibility.
And I wouldn't necessarily be against supporting a school that I liked. Like if there was a school out, even though I don't have kids, if there was a school out there actually teaching, you know, principles of freedom or something like that, I wouldn't have a problem giving them a scholarship or whatever.
Or
and
if
parents
you give your property taxes, if you could choose which school to give the property taxes to. Say there was a prescription that you have to give X percentage of the value of your home to a school in the community, then you'd still have competition.
Yeah. If somebody needs help with the cost of education in the absence of the government system that we don't care for here on Free Talk Live, if somebody needed help, they could just ask for it. They could reach out to charity. They could reach out to people who want to help them get their kids educated. Stop forcing your neighbors to fund the things they may not agree with. And that's what taxes do. There's more coming up. Thanks, Hank.
Maxwell, he was a runaway to rescue, great disposition. About 9 years ago, he was scratching a lot, and he started losing some hair. My vet, she said, oh, he must be allergic to the chicken. Another vet said, it's the grain. Third vet, she said it's the weather, something in the air. And then somebody said, DINOVITE.com. I had been listening to these Dynavite ads, hearing about different stories of different people, and it just clicked. I got my first 90-day supply, and it took a grand total of 2 weeks. And the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out.
Dynavite is nutrition.
And Maxwell loved it. Now he's close to 10. And the Dynavite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
Dynavite for life. You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
And he's a spectacular dog.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
A historic night. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. In less than 2 hours, night 3 of the Democratic National Convention gets underway.
The Dems are expected to unleash some of their biggest star power. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and former President Barack Obama, all embracing the night's theme, a more perfect union, arguing the very democracy of this country is on the line. Capping the night, Senator Kamala Harris accepting the nomination for vice president. Although she's not the first woman to trailblaze her way to the nominating stage, Geraldine Ferraro and Sarah Palin stood in her shoes in 1984 and 2008, and Hillary Clinton as the presidential nominee in 2016. Harris is the first woman of color on a major party ticket.
Fox's Caroline Shively. The Democratic National Convention Committee has released excerpts from former President Obama's speech. He's expected to say in part that President Trump has shown no interest in putting in the work, no interest in finding common ground, no interest in using the awesome power of his office to help anyone but himself and his friends, no interest in treating the presidency as anything but one more reality show that he says he can use to get the attention that he craves. A short time ago, President Trump said the U.S. will demand tomorrow that all UN sanctions be reimposed against Iran, saying he's directing Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to notify the UN Security Council of the administration's intentions. They called it Operation Legend. The Justice Department says in a matter of weeks, they've taken hundreds of violent criminals off the streets.
Those arrested, we have charged more than 200 federal, and that includes more than 100 charged for federal gun crimes, 21 of which have been here in Kansas City.
The initiative was named after a 4-year-old who was shot and killed while he slept in Kansas City, Missouri. America is listening to Fox News.
Who knew that the same company that made the twist ties around your loaf of bread also made the face shield delivered to your front door? Packaging solutions provider Bedford Industries stepped up in a big way during the pandemic with help from NetSuite, the world's #1 cloud business system. Here's Bedford's president, Jay Milbrandt.
At Bedford, we saw an opportunity to retool our products to create face shields. Thanks to the visibility and control NetSuite provides, we had the agility to change our business overnight. In no time, NetSuite helped us launch our first e-commerce site and handled crucial details from licensing to order tracking. Now we're taking orders from around the world 24/7. We couldn't have done it without NetSuite.
NetSuite by Oracle gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need all in one place. They surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of top strategies they're using as America reopens for business. Receive your free guide, 7 actions businesses need to take now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
That a lack of resources as firefighters in California are lightning strikes.
The SCU complex fires, now 85,000 acres and Alameda counties, among others. Another lightning complex fire is burning in Napa and Sonoma. It's destroyed dozens of homes in the town of Vacaville. And then there's the CCU complex.
Saw a major increase in fire activity throughout both San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties. And we saw several of the fires merge together and essentially make a significant run into Santa Cruz County.
That's CAL FIRE Deputy Chief Jonathan Cox. Another official said resources are stretched so thin they are double shifting the personnel they have on the fire line. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
At-home learning taking a financial toll for some parents.
A survey finds some parents are going into debt because of the shift to remote learning, with 33% telling Credit Karma they don't feel prepared to pay for school-related necessities in the upcoming school year. A quarter say they've already gone into debt just for supplies to support at-home learning, and more than 1 in 10 say they expect by the end of the year they'll need to take on debt. One factor making virtual learning tough on budgets, higher grocery bills. Before the pandemic, some 30 million kids were fed meals at school, most for free or at reduced cost. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar making a change as we head back into school time. Pharmacists in all 50 states are now allowed to give childhood vaccinations. It's a move designed to prevent future outbreaks of measles and other preventable diseases. Azar took the step using emergency powers he has during the pandemic. A report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention finds orders for vaccines from doctors' offices fell sharply in late March as offices closed or saw fewer patients. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
This is the Onion Week in Review. Gushing women voters announced Monday that they just can't help but feel an uncontrollable attraction to the sexist Republican Party. Saying they should know better but just can't resist the GOP's reckless neglect of women's health issues, smitten females across the country are reportedly driven wild by the GOP's blatant chauvinism.
I can't say no to bold, misogynistic politicians who think their authority extends to my uterus. Whenever you vote for a Republican, you feel like you're doing something a little bit naughty.
Top officials within the U.S. military military acknowledged Wednesday that they were desperate to be given just one solid war they could really knock out of the park. Citing the recent string of messy, ambiguous military engagements in the Middle East, members of the Pentagon brass called for a conflict against a sovereign nation with a standing army and a clear-cut bad guy who employs conventional tactics and weaponry.
No roadside bombs, no plainclothes militants hiding out among innocent civilians. Just a fair fight where two sides shoot at each other and someone wins. We're absolutely great at that.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're kicking off another hour here. You have plenty of time to join us. The toll-free lines, 855-450-FREE. Coming up, Aria's got a story that's just warming her heart.
It's truly the most heartwarming story that we will cover all year long.
All right,
you laugh, but this is a boon to all of humanity.
All right. That's a big tease. We'll get to it here in just a moment. And, of course, your calls and thoughts are welcome. You can bring up anything you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. And also, the Discord call-in line rooms, discord.lrn.fm, allows you to interact with other Free Talk Live listeners there, and it is totally free. Plus, coming up, smiling. We've been talking about the lack of smiles in our lives and how that can hurt us, given that all these people now have their mouths covered up with these masks. Well, you don't get to see people smiling, which means that you might not feel as good. You might not feel as comfortable in places if people aren't able to smile and welcome you, for instance.
So would people be better off if we had fake smiles on our masks? I mean, you know, they have...
Well, that's not genuine, so I don't think that would make a difference.
I think it might fool the human brain. Because this is all about, all you are is the chemicals that course through this lump of fat that sits in your skull, right?
Well, I don't know if I agree with you there.
All right. And a large part of what you are...
could be, your consciousness could be coming in from outside of your body. It may be more than just those chemicals.
Yeah, how much evidence do you have for that claim?
I just said it could be.
Yeah, it could be.
We don't know much about consciousness.
We're being beamed down from the mothership.
Yeah, we don't know much about consciousness, Mark, do we?
No, I guess we don't. So, if that's so, then all you have to do is trick it. And remember, babies' mobiles have little eyes on them to keep their attention. So it might work.
Those are babies.
Yeah, well, our brains aren't much better than theirs.
They're significantly better.
No, I think they're probably worse.
Okay, well, that's scientifically
don't think you have any evidence for that one.
Incorrect.
No, they're learning. They learn much more quickly.
Elasticity isn't the only thing that matters.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
Having learned things is better than having the ability to learn things.
Babies
I would argue.
don't have things like object permanence, for instance.
I think we might be able to trick the brain with fake smiles. That's my claim.
It's an interesting theory. Let's go to David. He's in Jackson, Michigan, listening to WKHM. Hello, David.
Well, good evening, gentlemen. What I'm not
There's a lady here too.
Able to catch your show on my FM or AM, I don't think here, which is not too far from Detroit, but I think there's a contract issue that there's a show, but they put you folks on live right now, and I want to speak to you folks about our illustrious, highly esteemed Governor Whitmer.
There's a lot of people that have been using those sorts of tongue-in-cheek adjectives to describe that lady recently.
And also our lieutenant, they call him LG, Lieutenant Governor, highly esteemed, Garland Gilford. He could slam a basketball without even jumping.
He's that tall?
He's from Detroit, highly esteemed also.
Okay, so what are you calling about?
The public service announcements are now saying mask up. Who's paying for the public service? You guys are free, so am I. Although honorably discharged United States Marines, speaking with you, we have paid. Who is paying now for these Mask Up America ads? Oh, I thought they were talking about Smokey Bear with the...
I'm going to guess it's the government, which would mean taxpayers are paying for it. But I haven't seen the
allow
ads,
that
so I don't know for
being
sure.
Free?
Huh?
Being free? Well, how do we allow that being free?
How do we allow that being free? I don't understand the question.
It's not free. It's being paid by taxpayers.
Mask Up America. Mask Up America. I'm not sure where all you mugs stand on the upcoming elections and their sort of, Democratic convention.
I know.
But who?
I know who's going to win the election,
them?
and I know who's going to win the election this year.
The politicians.
Yeah, the government.
Okay. Which part of it's better?
All of it's bad.
Why?
Because it's force against peaceful people. Government is force.
Who is to govern then?
Government are
I don't
people.
need to be governed.
They are people, and they're strangers, and they don't know my life, and they don't know what's best for me, and I don't care what they think, and I'm not going to do what they say.
You see the destruction in Portland. Do you want that coming to your neighborhood?
No, I certainly don't want that, and we would not claim that Portland is a solution to anything, but I would like to say this. The Republicans had the control of the White House, the House of Representatives, and the Senate for 6 years, from 2000 to 2006. And government didn't get smaller, it got bigger. Because the Republicans aren't about smaller, more controlled government. They're not about efficiency.
Then where do we draw lines of who is to govern? Is it just the gangs that want to loot and steal?
Dude, that's what we have now. That's literally what is going on right now. Is we have gangs looting the American people.
They're called the police.
And people buy into the mythology of it because
they make them pay for ads.
Because government education taught them that we have to have someone ruling us or we will have violent gangs ruling us.
Well, here's what I guess my basic question is, and I'm sure a lot of people out in our vast republic wonder, is if the police and if the military is not able to control individuals that think with their gun dealing, drug dealing, absolute chaos will wipe you out. Is that what we want?
I don't understand your question. What's wrong with guns and drugs?
The illegal dealing of them.
But they wouldn't be illegal if the government hadn't said so.
Yeah, shouldn't they just be legal and then everybody could just buy and sell guns and drugs legally?
Is that what we want to look at? Is that
freedom.
Hey,
I like freedom.
We're going to take over your house unless you comply with
hold
our
on. The take over your house part is where I don't get it.
That's what the government
let's
does.
say that the armed drug dealers begin to run amok in the cities. I don't live in the city, and frankly, it's not my problem. That's the city dwellers' problem.
I've never had a drug dealer threaten to take over my house before, but certainly the local government is going to do that if I don't pay them their taxes.
Well, maybe. However, I'm thinking of
No, definitely.
No, they
just did it recently.
Don't pay your taxes. Find out whether a gang will take over your house.
They just did it recently. There was a city council meeting here in Keene where they voted for the mask mandate. On that same city council agenda, they were also voting to tax sale somebody's home. So it happens all the time. Somebody was behind in property taxes, and in New Hampshire, and I don't know what all the rules are there in Michigan. And David, thank you for the call tonight. But they all have these rules where
so they
if you
cut them no slack due to COVID-19.
It was 2 years in the making. So once you fall behind on a tax payment, if you have not made that payment or agreed to some sort of payment plan and are making payments on the back taxes, if it goes for 2 years, they can then go ahead and do what they call a tax deeding, where they deed the property over to themselves. So they steal it from you, and then they do a tax sale on the tax deeded property. So they'd already gotten through the tax deeding process, and we're going to authorize the tax sale, which is where they have an auction. And then what happens is people who want to take advantage of the stolen property come in and they bid on the property, saying, whatever they bid it up to whatever level, as long as it goes above the back taxes, the government will sell it to that person.
And the worst part about this is that somebody comes in, really having no idea what has happened in the past, and they take over the home. They paid for it, and now they have the deed to it.
Yes.
And presumably, I mean, in some cases, the people are still in the home, and then they employ the sheriff from the town. The town never had the guts to actually kick people out.
Yeah.
They then have the new owner go and do it. And so, using deadly force against the people that would steal your home means that you're using it against this person who really doesn't know anything.
Well, they will have the police do it on their behalf. But yes, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Government is just an excuse for humans to use violence against their neighbors. And it's sick. More coming up.
News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Maxwell, she was scratching and losing some hair. My vet, she says, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet said, eat the drain. Third vet said, it's the weather. Then somebody said,
DINOVITE.com.
It took 2 weeks, and the dog stopped itching, the hair stopped falling out. The Dinovite is a big part of Maxwell's diet.
You get some Dinovite, how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils plus a hint of menthol was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted. If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by Anypay, which is doing amazing work at helping local business owners accept cryptocurrency in real life. And they've now expanded to include WordPress administrators, WordPress servers. People running a blog can now implement Anypay. If you've got the WooCommerce plugin for WordPress, which is the big purchasing plugin for WordPress, there is now an Anypay plugin for that. So when you're going to add plugins to your WordPress, just search for Anypay, and you can give it a try. I haven't yet done this, but knowing the guys over at Anypay, it's slick, it's smooth. That's what the initial responses I've seen from some users. So try it out. If you've been looking to take cryptocurrency payments on your WordPress blog, you really ought to check out the Anypay WordPress WooCommerce plugin. So look for that. And also to learn more about Anypay, go to anypayinc.com. That's anypayinc.com. As we go back to your phone calls. Not a fun call, but it's James in Arizona. You're on Free Talk Live.
He was fun last night.
Hello.
I'm the luckiest man to be alive, Mark Edgington. If an arbiter were to award me a Bitcoin for every time you and that pencil neck geek partner in crime of yours,
It's so hard to understand what you're saying there. You've got a really crappy connection, but I'm sure it was going to be really insulting and awful. Thanks for the call. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Aria, what is this article that you are so excited about tonight?
Yeah, well, I like it when banks get screwed over, right?
Okay.
That makes me very happy. So when this article crossed my my view, it made me very happy. Evidently, CITIBANK sent a hedge fund $175 million by mistake.
$175 million. That's a lot of money.
Yes, and now it's struggling to get the money back.
All right.
According to CNN Business, CITIBANK has a big problem. It mistakenly wired roughly $175 million to Brigade Capital Management, and the hedge fund hasn't returned the money. The U.S. banking giant filed a lawsuit Monday in the Southern District of New York seeking the return of funds that it said were transferred in a, quote, operational mistake. Now, the part of this I like is that banks steal money from people all the time. And now it's finally happening to one of them. CITIBANK said in court documents that it meant to send Brigade Capital around $1.5 million in interest payments on a loan that the hedge fund made to Revlon. Instead, it wired roughly 100 times that amount of its own funds to the hedge fund.
Well, there's a little mistake that was made.
Other Revlon creditors also received erroneous payments, adding up to $900 million.
Wish I could make mistakes like this.
Yeah.
CITIBANK, which acts as an administrative agent on the Revlon loan, alleges in court documents that Brigade Capital is refusing to return the money.
Like, hey, that paid our loan off.
Yeah, right?
We're done.
Brigade has taken the baseless position that CITIBANK's overpayment served to pay off Revlon's entire principal balance as well.
Well, why is that baseless? If you send a check, then you can't presume that you're going to get the money back. It's not a line of credit. It's a loan. So they paid off the loan. You want a new loan? Come and negotiate terms.
I like that perspective of it. Of course, that's not the way the bank sees it. I mean, they mistakenly deposit money.
But it's the way the person who paid the money, what are they called? What's
the creditor?
The creditor, fine. That wasn't the word I was looking for. I was looking for the actual name. The hedge fund. That's not the way they see it. They've got a perfectly valid stance. No, if you send a check and you don't write in the memo what the funds are to be allocated for, the bank's going to apply them however they wish. And believe me, it will not be to your favor.
I don't know, but I do know that many people have mistakenly received payments from banks. Banks have mistakenly put money into people's accounts and then held them accountable for spending that money, including criminally charging some of them, even though the bank put that money in there by mistake.
I don't know. I mean, I know that that's true, right? But that's not how criminal charges work.
It is, and it's part in this is further down in this article.
I'd be very curious as to how the judge would deal with this, because, I can tell you this: if you hand somebody your car keys and say, "Hey, go to the store and get me a couple of things, and then come back," and they decide to take a trip to Albuquerque, they haven't stolen your car. Now, you certainly have a right to get your car back, but it's not stolen in the sense that stolen cars are stolen.
Nothing about the banking system is logical. You got to remember that.
It sounds like they operate by a different set of rules than we do.
The court placed a preliminary injunction against Brigade Capital on Tuesday, ordering it to either pay back the money or to not withdraw or dispose of it until a court appearance on August the 31st. Isn't it interesting how quickly they've managed to get this into a court? Brigade Capital declined to comment when contacted by CNN Business. CITIBANK said Brigade Capital's actions are unconscionable and asked the court to force the return of the money. Right, because banks know what conscionable and unconscionable even are. Any other outcome would threaten the stability of the banking system and reward bad actors that try to capitalize on operational mistakes, the bank said.
I want to know who Brigade Capital's bank is.
Because they're a hedge fund, so presumably they're just
does that mean they have their own
I don't know.
banking?
No.
Like,
I don't know. It's not a world I've ever dealt in.
Because I've had wire transfers reversed on me before by these banks, where the banks.
Oh yeah, sure. The banks don't care.
Right. The banks go to the bank that made the mistake or whatever goes to the other bank and says, "Hey, we made a mistake. Can you send that back?" And they almost always send it back. So
even if it's not actually a mistake.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I guess, I'd like to know, who does this hedge fund use as their bank? Because whoever their bank is saying, no, we're not going to send that back on behalf of their customer. Usually the banks sort of do.
$175 million? I don't know. I imagine even for you or I, the banks would balk at that.
I don't know. I mean, usually the banks do each other favors. So that's what I'm saying. Whatever this other bank is not doing what Citibank wants them to do. I've seen banks act against my wishes with reversed wire transfers before, and it sucks.
Moving on, unexpected windfalls can result in major headaches for ordinary Americans, as banks typically demand the money to be returned. Depending on the state, consumers can face criminal charges if they spend money erroneously deposited in their account. A Pennsylvania couple faced felony theft charges last year after they spent $120,000 that their bank accidentally put in their account.
That is so unfair.
And that is exactly what every American would do if they woke up and suddenly there was $100,000 in their account.
Yeah, why are you going to ask questions about that?
Yeah. I'm not sure every American would do that.
The bank gave them that money.
But it shouldn't be, it's not theft.
No, certainly not.
I mean, I can see why they would put, I think from a standpoint of a civil case, you could put a lien on somebody, right? But I don't think you could call that theft. That's not criminal theft.
Well, you got to remember, banks work with the state to write the laws.
Oh, yes.
So banks would absolutely.
Banks and the state, but I repeat myself.
Yeah.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, and what you're saying there, Mark, is the banks exist because of the state. They are essentially franchisees of the Federal Reserve System. They've all got the blessings of the FDIC.
They're calling it crony capitalism these days, but it's really fascism.
855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number. It allows you to take control of the airwaves here. This is Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. News from news.bitcoin.com. Chinese banks limit customers' ability to buy gold. Chinese flooding and potential dam collapse threatens many Bitcoin operations. Withdrawals from crypto exchanges increase, indicating perhaps more people are holding their coin for themselves. Tentative agreement met to stabilize Bitcoin Cash mining in conjunction with the currency's third birthday. Bitcoin.com is your source for getting started with cryptocurrencies, getting a wallet, buying Bitcoin Cash, mining, and all the latest cryptocurrency news at news.bitcoin.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do. I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Oh, lovely, lovely. The sound of dropped packets. That's what you're hearing there. And actually, that was what was wrong with James's call. It wasn't his fault, actually, this time. It was the internet is broken. And thankfully, our feed is getting to the network okay, so we sound fine on the radio. But if you were to call in at this point, you're going to sound like that, and it will be awful.
Interesting.
I still think this is James's fault. He's just that toxic of an individual.
He broke the internet?
Yeah, he just broke it.
Poor guy.
Yeah, so we're losing about 20% of our incoming packets here. And sadly, we don't have ISDN anymore because that's not a thing. So we don't have reliable connections to our network. So if you want to call in at this point, you're going to have to call on our local lines here in the studio. You can.
What about the Discord line?
That's also an option. Yeah, okay. Discord will be fine. You can use Discord over at discord.lrn.fm. And in fact, that's where we do have Mortified Penguin on the line. We'll get to his call here shortly. But if you want to call on the phone lines, we do have our studio lines open at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. So feel free to call in that way. And you can still get on the air. You can still bring up anything you want. But if you call in on our toll-free lines, they are not going to be airable at this point. So you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. Please enjoy the features. Let's go to that Discord server. Mortified Penguin calling from Virginia on the AMP-only call-in line. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I wanted to talk about Facebook censorship since that comes up a lot on the show in our related shows. What do I remember? Especially when I was listening regularly. Yeah, it came up quite a bit, and I was. I mean, I know you don't use Facebook now.
It's been 2.5 years since I've been on Facebook. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of reactivated it for business purposes, and even then, I still kind of just abandoned it. But something happened today. Facebook went on a mass banning, and I know this has a lot to do with kind of the people in the Twitterverse that I follow. But a decent number out of a certain group of people, a decent number of anarchists and anarchist content, I think some groups and some people got wiped off of Facebook. And really? It's part of a wider crackdown on, violent so-called violent anarchists. And I know some of them were had some pro-gun content for self-defense, and they are getting caught up in this government dragnet of crackdown on violent anarchists. So it's certainly not just
government related, or it's Facebook.
Oh, it's Facebook, of course. It's strictly speaking, it's Facebook. It's cracking down on this content, but the people that have been banned, I mean, they're absolutely not of the kind of people that on record. And these are people that talk and write a tremendous amount. They don't advocate violence whatsoever. So I mean, like, it's kind of crazy, and it's certainly hitting. It's certainly hitting. From what I've heard, all sorts of political opinions outside of the realm of acceptable discourse, and that's what it is. Anarchy, guns. Perfectly fine. Lots of pro-gun people out there, but guns and anarchy, no, that's a no-go at this point.
I mean, you're not wrong. I did get a 3-day ban a few weeks ago. I don't remember. People were making all sorts of suggestions about what to do if the government shoots at you. This was back when the military, the National Guard, or whoever was walking through the streets shooting people on their porches or whatever it was they were doing. And I said, I have a different suggestion. Shoot back. And I got banned from Facebook for that for 3 days. So I'm just for advocating self-defense.
That would be outside of the realm of acceptable discourse for sure, and you should expect that, and that's why people shouldn't really be on Facebook.
Yeah, I was not surprised. I didn't raise an issue about it because I was like, "Yep, seems about right."
I'm not going to comment on your comment, but I will say this: this country wasn't founded by people unwilling to shoot back at their government that was, initiating violence against them.
I mean, someone's trying to kill you. Someone is shooting at you.
Right.
The only logical, self-preserving course of action is to either flee or shoot back. And you can't flee.
You're looking at it logically.
A bullet.
I would say, in fact, let's look at it as a sheep. Right? They use this term sheeple. Right? That you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to say sheeple. Once you say sheeple, you've lost the argument.
I just find it offensive.
What the hell else is a person that would allow an organization to shoot at them and not fire back?
Unarmed?
Surf?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
No,
I know I don't
nothing.
like the term sheeple
I don't
because
like
it's
it either,
dehumanizing.
What's that?
It's dehumanizing.
Okay.
But a person who also stands there and lets themselves get shot at,
they've just been,
not really
by
be
its
a
definition, dehumanized.
Yeah, they may not really be a human at that point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Mortified Penguin, it's just not really news anymore, is it? That Facebook is cracking down on people, and
so awful.
Facebook doesn't like certain opinions, and if you don't have, if you question COVID or if you question the government, then you're not welcome there.
Yeah, and if when you ask people why are you still on, I mean, honestly, nobody really thinks that Facebook is the cutting edge of anything at this point. But I mean, the answer will always be, and the answer logically is that's where people are in numbers. So I mean, it's eventually it's not going to be where people are at some point, because there's going to be there's been a generational shift, and there's just a lot of stragglers and legacy content on there. But I mean, come on, it's for basically old people now, if you ask the young people.
That's what the young people say. But then they go to Insta, which is owned by Facebook. And
that's the very smart business.
Well, they've gone through TikTok. They've gone to TikTok, and the boomers got really upset about it.
Well, I don't like TikTok either.
See?
I saw
I'm a boomer.
I saw a headline that Facebook is now requiring Oculus Rift or Oculus users to have a Facebook account. So if you have the Oculus 3D, virtual reality glasses, which Facebook bought Oculus a few years ago, and so now no one should be surprised that this happened. But now, in order to have
when they bought it, didn't they say they weren't going to require that?
Oh, I don't.
I mean, obviously, they're not going to keep their promise. I mean, Google used to say they wouldn't be evil, right?
Right. Don't be evil.
Right. So, yeah, there you go. Hey, thanks, Mortified Penguin, for the call tonight. Appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're going to give another shot here. Mouth-breathing Dullard is on the toxic caller line. Sounds like he's talking to himself.
Straps if you needed them.
Hello?
For free, as long as you paid for shipping and handling. But
Huh?
that's neither here nor there.
Are you? Do you know you're
Wow,
on the radio?
That's fucking amazing.
Oh my God!
Oh,
You
man,
can't say. I don't think he
dude, come
definitely.
on.
Now, normally he wouldn't do that. I don't think he knew that he was on with us. Because I mean, as bad as a person as he is,
normally clean. Yes.
he normally doesn't say the F word on the radio.
I think he was distracted by something, or he did a pocket dial.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's hard to pocket dial the toxic user line on the
that is a
Discord server.
hard thing to do.
Perhaps he has some kind of shortcut on his homepage.
Well, he can't say we didn't try to give him a second chance there tonight. So thanks, I think. Appreciate it. Well, you know what? A little bit of bad Citibank news.
He'll threaten your family, but he won't say the F-bomb in the air.
So Citibank is in the headlines again here, Aria. I was looking for Citibank and Bitcoin just to see if there was anything. And apparently Citibank is predicting Bitcoin's price to hit $120,000 by the year 2021.
Okay, but what matters to me is, will they close my account for selling Bitcoin?
Yes, they will.
Yes.
Okay,
yes, they will.
I don't care what their opinion. That's what's screwed up about all of these banks. They don't object to Bitcoin itself. What they object to is unregulated, uncontrolled cryptocurrency. They don't object to Kraken and Binance and all of these others. Yes, the major exchanges that play ball with the banks and with the government that have even created a cartel designed to regulate the cryptocurrency industry, just bending over saying, yes, master, give me more to the government so that they become the new banks in the modern world of cryptocurrency. So Citibank loves
sounds
them.
right. Yeah.
They don't have an issue with Bitcoin because Bitcoin can play by all of those rules.
Right.
What they don't like and what they will never like is Monero.
Yeah, Monero, the privacy coin, which is always...
They didn't make a prediction on Monero's pricing by next year? 2021. I mean, that's a big rise in Bitcoin by 2021. It's not
a rise in Bitcoin. It's a collapse of the USD.
Well, that too.
All right, toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. Although, I'm sorry, I give that out of habit. We're still not taking calls on that line because, as you can hear, it doesn't sound so good coming from our network. But our local line will work for you. 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160. That gets you on the air with us here in the remaining moments of Free Talk Live, or call in via our Discord server. We're coming up.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
Attention radio listeners, have you ever wanted to be independent of the utility companies and actually generate your own supply of off-grid electrical power? If so, this is going to be the most important message you'll ever hear. Here's why. A limited number of solar-powered backup generators are back in stock and now available. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical power when you need it most. And unlike gas generators, a solar generator runs quietly, emits no fumes, and produces an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. It's like having an electric power plant running silently, secretly in your own home. Run sump pumps, shortwave radios, computers, even keep food from spoiling. Go to mysolarbackup.com to learn more. That's mysolarbackup.com. Supplies are still limited and are available on a first-come, first-served basis only. mysolarbackup.com.
Have you ever thought about turning your Glock, XD Family, or 1911 handgun into a semi-automatic carbine? It only takes about 30 seconds. The MacTech Carbine Upper is classified as an accessory and can be delivered right to your doorstep with no FFL or background check required. It's the world's most versatile pistol accessory. Build your custom upper today. Simply go to handgunconversion.com. That's handgunconversion.com.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want here. The remaining moments are now. And that's the point of this program. 855-450-FREE is our normal toll-free line. However, don't call that one because we got a really crappy internet connection to our network at the moment. So you're going to need to call our local lines at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And I was so disappointed right before we started the show tonight. Like 60 seconds before we were about to go on the air, there's a landline here in the studio. That's not the number I just gave out to you. That's actually a VoIP line, but there's an actual landline here in this studio, and it's connected to our studio board, so we can take calls on that. Like if we got somebody calling from a prison or something like that, they need to have a landline. So that's one of those things that's useful for. And so I just answered the call, figuring it might have been somebody from who knows where trying to call the show. And
who knows what?
It was one of those automated messages like, "This is the Social Security Administration. We regret to inform you that your Social Security number has been used in fraud along the southern border of the United States. Please press 1 to speak to one of our agents." And that's a paraphrase of what it was.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It was
Why would they make you press 1? Just to make it sound more official?
Just so they know you're there.
No,
it's an auto dial.
It's so they can,
dial.
Right. It's just auto dialing, and whoever would do it would be auto dialing, and that makes sense.
So there's a computer system doing the auto calls, and then anybody who presses 1, they know there's a real live victim on the line, and so then they'll put
they're gullible enough to push the button.
Right. Okay. They'll put an operator on the line to try and take money from you, which is likely what would have happened. And I'm like, oh, right. Well, let's put this on the air. How often has that happened before? And so I pressed 1, and at this point we're like 30 seconds from, because I listened to the initial message, and now we're like 30 seconds from airtime. I press 1, and whoever it was picked up real fast. Like it didn't even ring. Like I could hear that I was in a call center, right? Like you could hear the clatter in the background of chattering going on, and
happy people.
Some voice with a heavy accent came on the line and said something that I could not make out, and I said, "What?" And I was like going to try to like lead him on and like
This is a scam.
Well, I was going to try to lead him on a little bit to get him on the air because I still had like 30 seconds before we were about to turn the mics on and go on.
Right.
And I'm like, what? And he said something I really honestly couldn't understand. I'm like, what was that? Or something. And then he hung up the phone. So like literally 10 seconds before we were about to go on the air.
That's frustrating. That would have been so much fun.
Would have been so much fun. But anyway, you can still call in here and 603-283-6160. I've never actually had one of those calls before. Like I've
had them.
I've been aware of people who've had them. I've been aware of people who've actually fallen victim to them. But never actually. Did you play it out, Mark? Did you actually try?
Yeah, I just kept asking questions. And sooner or later they hung up on me.
Okay. You weren't actually taking them into a remote desktop connection on your computer and logging into your bank account for them or anything like that.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because that's usually where it goes from what I understand.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, the government, the IRS, the Social Security Administration, these organizations are not going to call you on the phone. And if they do call you on the phone, it's a scam artist.
Mm-hmm.
Probably somebody in a very poor country whose only skill is that they speak English. They're being employed at, slave wages, and it's a real shame what's happening to them. But what are they going to do,
Well, yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to learn more about the back end of exactly how this system works with the scam artists, because it is a fairly complex scam.
I'm sure they make it easier to curtail them in the sale of online goods like cryptocurrency and things like that if we understood how the back ends actually operate.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that they don't tell people when they get the job that they're, they probably tell them, we have a contract with the Social Security Administration.
Oh, you don't think that they know that they're scamming?
I don't think that they know right away. It's just a guess.
I can't imagine that they don't know.
Well, then what you're presuming is that
I mean, their whole job is to take money from people.
Sure.
Okay, I see what you're saying. You're saying they've tricked these operators into believing that they're legitimately working for the Social Security Administration. I guess it's possible.
I don't think that's likely.
I don't think it's likely, though.
I don't know. I think it's the only likely scenario, would be my guess.
I think it's going to be very difficult to convince like a Serbian or someone in Ukraine to believe that they're legitimately working on behalf of the Social Security Administration.
Okay, I'll give you one.
Because
Mark.
why would the American government hire someone in Serbia or Ukraine to do that?
Why would big tech companies hire people in foreign countries?
They're not the American government.
I'm not claiming that they're not.
I'll give you an example.
You presume that these people know the difference or care.
You're giving them too much credit or not enough credit or whatever. But here, I'll give you an example, Mark, of the Apple scam. So I've sold Bitcoin online, and I've come across some of these scams, and every now and then I'll manage to catch one in progress and save somebody from losing $10,000 or $5,000 or whatever it was that they were going to spend. And this guy admitted to me what had happened. He was like a stockbroker, or is a stockbroker in New York City, and was in quarantine over the whole COVID thing. This was early on. It was probably like March or April of this year. And he said that somebody called him up with a heavy like Indian accent claiming to be from Apple Computer. And
which is believable.
Yeah, that's a believable situation.
We're calling because your Apple ID account has been hacked. And we have we believe we can stop these hackers, but we need your help. We need you to send a wire transfer to us in order to help us trace the hackers. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to put money into your account, and then you're just going to send the money that we send to you. Okay? So here's what we need you to do. We need you to log in. We're going to remote desktop in. Hold on. We're going to transfer you over to our investigations department. One moment. And then they transfer you to another guy. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. So there's more than one person involved in this.
This sounds very believable.
And this person then tells...
Until you get to this part.
No, it's not...
No, it doesn't sound believable that Apple wants you to wire someone
well,
money.
It does if you don't understand what wiring is. But if it sounds like, well, we need to roll a ping pong ball down the tube and see where it gets stopped up. So we need your cooperation.
What's not believable, Mark, is your theory that these operators are not in on the scam. Okay, so let me give you the rest of this. Okay. So you then have to put a remote desktop computer connection program like TeamViewer. They actually had them download TeamViewer, which is a commercial program.
Yep.
And And then
Not an Apple program.
They connected to him via TeamViewer, right? So they connect into his computer, and then they have him go online and log into his bank account, and they see the balance in the bank account. So let's say he's got $5,000 in his bank account. So what they say to him is, okay, now we have your bank account information. We're going to send you $5,000. The same amount basically that he had, or slightly less, or whatever, some amount that is less than or equal to the amount that was in his bank account. We're going to put $5,000 into your bank account, and then we want you to send that in. So then what they do, and what he said he thought they did, was some sort of Photoshop where they were able to show him, and I don't know how they pulled this off, but he was convinced by it.
Probably through phishing. I mean, they probably just created some random web page.
Yeah, maybe.
And just, type that into his browser.
Yeah,
and he
so-
didn't know enough about tech to realize that the URL he was looking at had been changed.
Yeah, somehow they showed him his bank account again, and it had $5,000 more in it. So they edited like an image of his account that they screenshotted while they were in there. They added a thing like from Apple Computer on his registry, and then his balance was now $10,000.
All right.
So he believes that he's been given $5,000 by Apple Computer, and now these Apple technicians want him to wire them the $5,000. Well, the reality is he's wiring the $5,000 to my bank account or the church's account.
Sure.
And it's the $5,000 that was in his account. There's no extra $5,000 in there. He just orders the wire to be sent out. And so the person on the other end of the line knows that what they're doing is fraud because they are the ones doing it. There's no way they could think anything else besides they are taking advantage of somebody. So, and I suspect the same thing's true of these IRS and other scams. I just don't know all the details on exactly how they work.
My guess is that they, in some way, hire people. The people believe that they're getting into a real job, and that at some point in the process, they have a way to weed out the people who
are honest.
Who are honest and
Sure.
wanted to make less versus the people who are dishonest and want to make more.
I suspect that's true. So anyway, so what happened in this particular case was I got the guy's phone number because one of my requirements is that they show me like a photo of themselves, and it has their phone number written on a piece of paper with a note. And so I called this guy, and he actually conferenced me with the scammer. And I didn't realize that was going on, and it was such an awkward conversation that after I got off the line, I texted the guy. I was like, this doesn't feel right, and I don't want to go ahead with this. And he's like, yeah, don't do this. Something's wrong. And that's when we finally got on the phone. He explained what was going on. And so there's some crazy complex scams.
So did he lose money or
out there.
not?
No, he didn't. I caught it. I saved him.
So they got to see
money.
his online.
See you tomorrow.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more, and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the